Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and we are live, and we have a jam-packed show for all of y'all. Mitchell Renz, Jeremy Chuggs, we're going to be live here for the next 2 hours. We're going to be looking at the Raiders' perfect offseason plan. With the amount of times I get asked, Mitch, if you and Chuggs were head coach, general manager of the Las Vegas Raiders, what would you do? Well, guess what? I am giving you my perfect offseason plan as it starts right now, because as far as I'm concerned, this is the Raiders 2024 offseason, and you better get going right away. Then I'm going to do my Raiders perfect mock draft. I'm going to not totally spoil what happened in this mock, but I'm just going to tell you right now, going into doing what mock I did today, I literally threw it out the window. I had to do something totally different, because what's important a lot of times in the NFL draft, or when you're doing a mock, I always say it's like being water. You got to be fluid. You got to have the ability to change, right? If I'm going to sit up here and get mad at McDaniels' inability to be able to change in the gameplay, well, shame on me then if I'm thinking about doing a mock draft and then something falls to me in my lap. Sometimes you got to change what your plan is. So I'm going to tell you what mock draft happened, because I absolutely love it. We will get into the latest news and rumors around the Las Vegas Raiders today. We got a brand new GM candidate. I'm going to talk about Josh Jacobs. We're going to talk about Davante Adams, all the trade rumors around him if you haven't seen what Davante did to spark a few of them. Then we're also going to get into the latest around Jim Harbaugh. So that is all coming up here on today's show. But one of the top talking points leading into the national championship game, which Chuggs and I were live for yesterday. Shout out to Avgin, OC Raider, a bunch of the MVPs that pulled up yesterday. But one of the things that we were talking about was Michael Penix Jr. Last week, I said that I do not forecast Penix to get drafted in round one. A lot of people told me I was crazy. Then I watched a little bit more tape. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I didn't say this on a show. Stepped up here, said that, you know what, after watching a lot more tape on him before the Michigan game, I personally thought that there was an opportunity that he could go in the first round. But now, after having the best game I've ever seen him play up against Texas, he has a game up against Michigan, an NFL caliber defense, right? Like, they have a good defense. Really, really struggled. So my question to all of you out there is this. Will Michael Penix Jr. get drafted in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft? I want you to type yes. I want you to type no. And we're going to give a few shout-outs here on the Raiders Report. We got a lot of no's coming in, which I'm just, for the record, when I asked y'all this question on Saturday, or what was it? No, I wasn't live Saturday. Sunday. Yeah, it was live Sunday. I'm going to say 80% of y'all said yes. It's quick, man, right? It's quick how quick the no's come in. Vincenzo, Luis Rodriguez say no. I see Mooncage, yes. Paul G, no. Javier, no. OC Raider, what's up, my brother? No. Buzz-O-Matic 69, no. No, but in the second round from Randy Carter. Raider Nation, Jimmy, yes. James Jenkins, yes. Harold Nichols, not after last night. I know, I saw Harold Nichols. I mean, that can just tell you all where my mind's at right now. Harold Nichols, I'm sorry, man. That one's on me. We got 730 people tuned in here live for the Raiders Report. And if you're as excited as what I am for this offseason, like, y'all, we're hiring a GM. We're hiring an offensive coordinator. We're going to hire a head coach. We're going to find ourselves a brand new quarterback. We're going to have plenty of money to spend in free agency. We're going to have a lot of picks in the NFL draft. I have made a video on this channel every day for 4 years, and I'm telling y'all right now, this is the most excited offseason that I could possibly be prepared for. Like, I think Chuggs and I do a really good job making sure that you guys never miss anything going on around the Raiders, but with as much stuff that has happened just in the last 48, 72 hours, I told Chuggs today, I'm like, bro, I feel like we're trying to do our best here to stay up, but there's just so much stuff coming out. Bottom line is this. If you're looking for Raiders videos, make sure you subscribe, because we're going to be here the entire offseason. Trades, we're going to be here for free agency, the draft, no matter what it is. If you believe that the nation needs to get that commitment to excellence back, I need a little just win, baby, going on. I promise you, we're going to have a lot of fun, but we're also going to keep you guys up to date. And can everybody welcome in the only reason why you guys even tune into the show anymore, Mr. Jimmy Double Pump Chuggs. What's going on? Would you trade Davante Adams to get a franchise quarterback? Type T for trade, type P for pass. And, franchise quarterback might be a different answer. I'm thinking about this more from you're getting a Caleb Williams, you're getting a Drake May. I consider Jaden Daniels a franchise quarterback, and I believe that Antonio Pierce does as well. But I'm saying a quarterback that you're going to be able to get to be that franchise guy. Would you trade Davante Adams in order to do it?
You read the title?
You be the GM. Job's open. I mean, that's true, right? We always say, hey, you be the GM. Well, the job is open now. Would you trade?
Watching this, depending on how you answer, whether or not you get an interview.
Can you imagine? That would be insane. Type T for trade, type P for pass. I'm going to give you guys my answer here on this when I go through my perfect offseason plan. Oh, I hear you. If I told you right now, you trade Davante Adams, you get yourself a Drake May or Caleb Williams, does that interest you? Some people might say, well, Mitch, I don't want Drake May or Caleb Williams because then I don't have Davante Adams and the Raiders aren't going to be as good. Hopefully, are we good on internet?
Yeah.
Okay. We got 900 people here in the building. I just totally lost internet on my computer, but we're still good here. All right, let me see. I see Seth says pass. Steven says pass. Luis Rodriguez says trade him. Alex X, trade. Pillaging just for fun. Hard pass there. Puff, puff, pass from William Davis. I like the creativity, man. Kimberly, hard pass. Trade from Sienna. I mean, this one's very, very split by the nation, which I get because Davante Adams is one of the best receivers in the NFL. I would consider him the most valuable asset you have on the offensive side of the football, which maybe is not saying too much because you don't have a quarterback right now, and Josh Jacobs is going to be a free agent.
And I want to say this. We don't have any Super Chat specials today. We don't have anything crazy. But I want to hear your takes. Give me your take on this.
Yep.
$2 Super Chat. Give me your take, and we'll break it down and kind of give you our thoughts as well. But I want to hear from the nation because I see a lot of T's, I see a lot of P's. It looks like we're split.
Very split.
I want to know why you say trade or why you say pass.
Yeah, I'll tell you all right now, I'm not drinking today. Y'all kicked my ass the last 2 nights, so today's going to be a pretty laid-back day here on the Raiders Report. Though luckily, we do have a lot of information and a lot of things to discuss. And I got 2 segments that I was super, super hyped up for. I love doing my first mock draft of the year, and I love creating my perfect off-season plan, hopefully. And I'm so excited to do it because, well, the last 2 years, I've had to, help out Josh McDaniels. I've had to do what I think McDaniels is going to do. For the first time in 2 years, I feel like I have the opportunity to do exactly what I want to do because we don't know who the GM is yet. I don't know who the head coach is yet. Yeah, I think we know which way that the Raiders are probably going to go in. To me, it's either going to be Antonio Pierce or it's going to be Jim Harbaugh. But on today's show, I want to go old school Raiders Report where you guys are getting your questions, your comments on the show. I want to know exactly what you guys think about the Raiders.
First off, Nico Laz, he's 31. Absolutely, I'd trade him for a quarterback.
And, I think the other thing that people do have to realize is if you're going to be team trade Davante, you're going to trade him away. The Raiders have already paid him for 2024, but here's the thing, right? His salary cap hits next season for the Raiders, and when I say next season, I mean 2025, 2026. I mean, you're looking at $44.1 million for a receiver at age 32, and then you're going to be paying him $44.1 million for a receiver at age 33. So I will admit, now's the time to trade him. If you don't trade him this year, his trade value does go significantly down. But don't you want Davante Adams for that new quarterback that you bring in? Because what you don't want is to trade for a quarterback like Carolina did, take away all your good players, and now people are worried that Bryce Young is going to be terrible. It's something to think about, no doubt. Let's go to my man, Chef.
John Scheffler.
Nobody wins a Super Bowl with just a franchise wide receiver. I don't disagree with you at all in that remark. I do think finding a franchise quarterback is more important than finding a receiver like Davante Adams. However, though, can you potentially get a franchise quarterback and still keep Davante?
Jimmy G almost won a Super Bowl.
Jimmy G did almost win a Super Bowl. Yikes. That was also I shouldn't say many years ago. It was definitely a few years ago, though. John Rodriguez, yes, trade Davante if no on Justin Fields. If you can't get Justin Fields for a second or third, that's going to be a discussion that the Raiders have to have. you got to be able to sit down with everybody in the room once you hire GM, head coach, all that kind of good stuff, and say, would we rather trade, let's say, a second or a third for Justin Fields, or would we rather give up a bunch of picks to try to go up and get a quarterback in the draft, or do we hope that somebody falls to us in the draft, or do you sign a guy like Russell Wilson at $1.21 million? I mean, all these things you have to discuss.
Also, I forgot to mention as well, any super chat we're putting on screen, but if you have a take, if you want to say something really bad, you don't have any money, it's okay. Use hashtag Raiders.
Correct.
I'm going to pull a couple of them, only the best ones for hashtag Raiders. But if you really want to get on screen, if you have a thought that you think we need to talk about, use hashtag Raiders in your comment. I'm going to pull a couple that I think are show-worthy.
Cool. I like it. Let's go to my man, Douglas. What's up, Douglas? Speaking of Davante, I'd pass on drafting a rookie and pick up Fields. Russell, if we can't get Fields. I know the idea for a lot of people of signing Russell Wilson is a very unpopular one because he's a cornball, and let's face it, he's probably the opposite of what you're looking for if you're looking for like a Raider, right? But I do understand, and I think people got to understand that if you can find a quarterback of Russell Wilson's caliber and you can bring him in at $1.21 million, which is actually what Russell Wilson is probably going to try to do this year, because whatever Russell makes in 2024, the Denver Broncos get a credit for the following season. So if you really want to screw over the team that's probably going to cut you this offseason, you signed for the vet min at 1.21. You're still going to get $89 million once the Broncos cut you. So how can you still make $89 million, take the vet min, and then screw over the team that's cutting you? You sign him to a $1.21 million contract, which, again, it sucks to think to bring Wilson in because I dislike that guy that much. But 1.21 for Russell, it has to be discussed. And then, yeah, you might want to pass on drafting a rookie, but I'm just going to tell you this right now. If the right opportunity is in front of you, you got to jump all over it.
Just imagine if they traded up for Stroud.
Imagine if they would have traded up for C.J. freaking Stroud, man. We have to trade. The reason the Patriots were whom they were was because of Tom Brady, and the Chiefs is coming up because of Patrick Mahomes.
It's a quarterback league.
It's a quarterback league is the best way that I can put that, right? I mean, you look at what the Chiefs had this season. No receivers. They won the AFC West. What up, Ruthless Raider? What are the probabilities of getting Russ at minimum and still getting quarterback in draft and letting him sit and learn? I mean, here's to me, though, like, you don't do that. Like, I think if you're the Raiders, even though the offense that you'd probably run with Russell Wilson compared to Aiden O'Connell might be a little bit different because I'd want to see a little bit more play action. You give Russell Wilson the chance to use his athletic ability a little bit more than obviously you would somebody like Aiden. So for me, if you were to sign Russell Wilson at 1.21, I wouldn't say it's a high probability. I would say it is a probability. And I'll make a video this offseason. You guys will kind of see on today's show that if I created a plan at quarterback, to me, I would say I have 5 plans basically, right? I have step 1 or plan number 1. If that doesn't work, all right, I'll go to plan number 2, plan number 3. Wilson's in my top 5 of plans at QB. Here's the thing, though. I don't think that you need to draft a quarterback if you go out and you get Russell Wilson. You still have Aiden, who is more than capable of a backup. And from people that I talked to, the Raiders, they just signed, what's his name? He was on their practice squad, quarterback to a futures contract. His name's escaping me right now. But they also like him to potentially be that third QB, if you will. So it's a good question. Let's go to Adam Martinez. What's up, guys? If Davante wants to join the Jets with his old quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, what do the Jets have to offer that y'all want? I would want 2 first-round picks. And the reason why I say I want 2 first-round picks, especially if it's the Jets, because, well, Aaron Rodgers coming off an Achilles injury. They were in win now and be in aggressive mode this past year. I think now this year it just goes to a whole nother level, right? Like they're going to be even more aggressive going out there to try to get the other guys. So I know that. I would want 2 first-round picks from the New York Jets. And the other reason is the Raiders have already paid Davante Adams. So because of so many contract restructures, Adams already got his money from the Raiders. And if the Raiders trade him away, the Jets get Adams for free in 2024. So because of that, I would want 2 first-round picks for Tay. Let's go to Elijah Jaron Music. You're next up here on the Raiders Report. Would you consider hiring Jim Harbaugh as head coach and moving Antonio Pierce to D.C. if Graham leaves. Would I consider it? Sure. Do I think it's going to happen, though? No.
It's not if we would consider it. It's if Antonio Pierce would consider it.
I mean, if I'm AP, I don't think I would do that, right? Like, I get that he was the linebackers coach, and then he was interim head coach. Here's the other thing, though. If you're Jim Harbaugh, I don't know if you do it. Like, Harbaugh is going to be one of those guys that comes in, and I think he's going to want to bring in a brand new regime. He's going to want to bring in his own DC. He's going to want to bring in his own OC, because the last thing that you can afford to have is, if you're the new head coach of the team rallying behind the guy that's the defensive coordinator and not the head coach. And would I want Antonio Pierce on the team? Of course I would. I mean, everybody watching the show probably would say, man, we got to keep AP. But like, you're not hiring Jim Harbaugh to do that.
It's like if you started dating a girl and she was like, do you mind if my ex just comes along on dates with us? Is that cool? If my ex, like, he's chill. We can just hang out with a lot of the guys, but yeah, my ex wants to hang out with you as well.
And I know. I mean, that's the way that it goes, though. And again, if I'm a guy like Jim Harbaugh, who, you know, I was talking to unknown Raider guy in the chat before the show started, like, he's going to have interest from the Chargers. He's going to have interest from the Bears. He is going to be probably the number one coaching candidate out there. Like, you might be able to see, like, a Dan Quinn probably is going to be right up there with him. But every single NFL team that's got a head coaching vacancy is going to have Jim Harbaugh, I would say, in their top 3. You're going to make the argument top 2 for coaching candidates. And if I'm Harbaugh, I'm not going to accept a job unless it's 100% of what I want.
Shout out to Torque. He said Chugs has girl experience. He knows. Facts.
Mascady. Huntley is a dark horse candidate for QB and affordable. I mean, if you're talking about Tyler Huntley, I'll tell you this right now. If the Raiders end this offseason with Tyler Huntley as their quarterback, I would be probably more pissed off that the Raiders have Tyler Huntley as their QB than when you started this last season, maybe with Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, Huntley's not a top 32 quarterback in the NFL. He's not a top 40 quarterback in the NFL. Like, what the Raiders have to do right this year, which they did not do last year, is this. Like, you did the right thing by moving on from Derek Carr. I don't think that's even, you can't argue that fact. The Raiders did the right thing by moving on from Carr. What they did wrong, though, is you brought in Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, that's the issue. You can't have that this year. This time you got to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo, which is the right thing to do. And now you have to either draft your QB, go get a guy like Justin Fields, but you have to have an upgrade at the quarterback position. Bringing in Tyler Huntley would be a disaster.
Or maybe this, Night Uchiha.
I'd like to see AOC grow with a good OC. You know, I hear you. I would like to see Aiden O'Connell grow as a quarterback as well. I would like to give Aiden O'Connell an offensive coordinator that I have confidence in, because I don't have confidence in Bo Hardegree. I think it would be good for Aiden O'Connell's growth to not have to start a season off with Josh McDaniels and have to deal with, you know, finding a new head coach, doing all this other shenanigans and go into another year. But I'll also say this, if you're the brand new head coach, Antonio Pierce, or if you get that new opportunity to be the head coach of the Raiders, are you really going to bet your job, your livelihood, the way that you provide for your family, put a roof over your head on Aiden O'Connell? My answer to that is no way. I'm not going to do it. Like, if I have that first year, I have more power in my first year as a head coach than any year. I'm going to go out and I'm going to try to find my franchise quarterback. Like, AOC might turn into what Derek Carr was from like 2017 to 2022. And if you're willing to settle for a quarterback that's never going to be a top 15 QB, go for it. The Raiders, though, you just cannot do that. I like the confidence in AOC, but I'm not betting my money. I ain't betting my livelihood on it, I'll tell you that. Maybe we get lucky and draft the next Brock Purdy. I don't think that you need to find the next Brock Purdy. I think you need to be able to find the next quarterback that you can put into a system. Like, Purdy is as good as what he is because of the system and the players that are around him for the 49ers. Has Brock Purdy done a hell of a job? Absolutely. Has he gotten better? Absolutely. Has he outperformed a lot of expectations? Yeah, he was the last pick in the NFL draft. But to me, you're not going to find a quarterback. Like, if you put Brock Purdy right now on this Raiders team, he's not Brock Purdy, right? Like, he's just another quarterback, and that's not what you're looking for. To me, the quarterback that I think that if you're trying to build a Brock Purdy, where you're just trying to go a little bit cheaper at QB and just trying to load up around him, Bo Nix might actually be the guy for that. Now, again, I ain't taking him in round 1. I really wouldn't even want to take him in round 2. However, I think that you would have to take him in round 2, probably at pick 44, and just build a solid offense around, because if you ask Bo Nix to do way too much, it's not going to be good. If you put Nix in an offense where he can dink and dunk, kind of like what he does right now in Oregon, he's going to have some success. But again, I don't want to bet my livelihood on Brock Purdy. I don't want to bet my livelihood on Bo Nix. Garen, if AP stays as head coach, they might stay with Adams, and if Jim gets the job, Adams might get traded. If AP stays as head coach, they might stay with Adams.
He's basically saying if AP stays, Adams stays.
Yep.
If AP goes, Adam might probably get traded.
I 100% agree with this statement. I don't want to say too much because Garen, great minds think alike, and this is going to be something that I actually bring up and talk about today in one of my segments. So I don't want to get into it too much, but short answer is yes, I agree 100% with this. Let's go to Steve Dennis. Trade Adams for a first and a second. Get Rome or Malik with the first. See if you can move up for other first to get a QB. If not, move back, get more draft capital, get a corner in the first, build the trenches with all those second-round penix in the third. I don't think penix falls to the third as much as I hate to say that. And, Steve, I'll tell you this right now. If you trade Davante Adams for a first and a second, and then you do that to go up, and I'm guessing you're saying Malik Neighbors, why would you trade Davante Adams, a wide receiver, to go up? Yes, Malik Neighbors is younger, and he could be a guy like Justin Jefferson. Like, I get it. Like, he could be that, and I know people are making that comparison because of the helmets of LSU. But let's get one thing straight. The only way that the Raiders are trading away Davante Adams is for a franchise QB. Like, if you trade away Adams and you don't take a franchise QB, that's just malpractice in my book. What's up, Matt Queen? On the Raiders Report, first time super chatter. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you watching the show. I appreciate you finally sending in a super. Every single super chat we get does not go in my pocket or Jeremy's pocket. It goes back to the nation. Jorge A. Stogie. What an elite last name. I'm not going to lie. I want Stogie. Stogie and Darth Fatass are the top 2 jerseys I want on the Raiders Report.
Yeah.
Get Fields or Russ, trade Adams to the Jets for Sauce, and draft a defensive tackle in the first round, please.
You're not getting Sauce.
I was going to say, I don't think that the Jets trade you Sauce for Davante Adams straight up. Draft a defensive tackle, sure. If you miss on defensive tackles in free agency, and, you know, again, today you guys are going to see my perfect offseason plan. I'm just going to tell you defensive tackle is a big part of that plan, and hopefully you guys get on board with it. The cheaper route at QB is Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. However, I'm not going to blame a first-year coach saying, I want to do everything in my power to try to get one of those top QBs in the draft. Sir Chai, Chugs, and tired of seeing number 4 jersey, draft a QB. Yeah, I'm not going to say Aiden O'Connell. I'm tired of seeing him. He had a tough job this year, right?
He also said this.
To be honest, Raiders should draft 2 QBs in 2024. I don't like this idea even. I don't like the idea of drafting 2 quarterbacks. Like, when are you going to draft them?
Kirk Cousins.
You're just going to do, what, 3?
Kirk Cousins
a 3-way quarterback?
RG3?
A 3-way quarterback battle?
Oh, you'd like that, wouldn't you?
Hey, anytime I get a 3-way, I'm in.
This one's for Marsh.
Where do the Raiders go if Jim Harbaugh goes with a team other than the Raiders and AP accepts the New York Giants DC job? It's a really good question.
Sources close to us say the Giants are very interested in AP at defensive coordinator.
I mean, I think they should be. To me, if this honestly were to happen, Paul, I would say, Patrick Graham, you're the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. And I would. And to me, and I've said this before on the show, and I'm not afraid to say this, like, as important as what Antonio Pierce is to bringing him back, bringing back Patrick Graham is more important than bringing back Antonio Pierce. Like, to me, if you told me I got to pick between Jim Harbaugh and just Antonio Pierce, I'll probably pick Jim Harbaugh. If you told me, Mitch, Antonio Pierce and Patrick Graham, that's the combination I want. Like, I'm bringing back AP. I'm screaming from the rooftops, we got to bring back AP, because in my mind, you bring back Antonio Pierce, you're also going to bring back Patrick Graham. Like, I want PG to come back more than I want Antonio Pierce to come back for the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's go to Lakaisen. What's up, brother? Mitch, you think it's going to be done for Jacobs in Vegas? Zamir White looked really good. I've always been high on him. He's country strong. I have not always been high on Zamir White. However, I have been very impressed by him. He's the first running back in Raiders history in his first 4 games to rush at least twice over 100 yards. And you got to give him credit. The more and more touches he got, the better and better he got. I don't want to answer this question in full because I am going to get into it a little bit around Jacobs today on the Raiders Report. But, hey, let's go. Be honest with me. Do you want the Raiders to bring back Josh Jacobs? I want you to type B for bring back, or type L for you let him walk. And obviously from a talent standpoint, people want Jacobs to be back. He's arguably the top running back hitting the open market. But when it comes down to money, I think you can make an argument. I said it last year that depending on the offense is really detrimental. Like, if I'm more of a pass-happy offense, I think that's better for Saquon. Though I might just save my money then for Austin Eckler.
You think he's better than Derrick Henry?
Again, I think it's the type of offense. Like, I think Josh Jacobs can do more in certain offenses, but if you're just like a power run-first offense, I'm taking Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Like, if I was the Baltimore Ravens, I would actually figure out a way to get Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, like, that's a team that should invest money in the running back position. If you're a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, no, I probably wouldn't do it. I'm probably going to be a run-first team. MT Raider, unpopular opinion, keep APU's draft to beef up the defense, preferably a defensive tackle. Go get Baker Mayfield. I will say I think Baker's probably going to be similar to what Jimmy Garoppolo got last year. So because the Buccaneers are in the playoffs, and if Baker makes a little run here in the playoffs, I'm saying you're going to have to pay Baker Mayfield, let's say $25 million a year. If that's the route that you want to go, you can go that route. Personally, for me, I'd rather sign Russell Wilson at $1.21 million than going out and getting a guy like Baker Mayfield at $20 million something. I do think, though, the Raiders, no matter what, you got to get another defensive tackle, and you got to make sure that you got to bring back Adam Butler. I think bringing back Adam Butler is very important for the Raiders. My man, Chef. What's up, Chefy? Mitch, I get what you're saying, but then I guess we have to give up the future to get our quarterback. Then what are you saying? I'm not going against it. Just got to be a lot when we give up a lot to get them. Yeah, I'll talk about how much it's going to cost to get one of those guys. And I did it, last week on a show. That was to get from 11 up to 3, 2, and 1. And, you're looking at 3 first-round picks to go get a franchise quarterback. Like, that's potentially what it could cost you. And, you might be able to work out a deal here and there a little bit. But it is going to cost a lot. And here's my only thing to this, John. I've said it before on here multiple times. Yes, I get it. Teams value draft capital a lot. But there's been a lot of teams in the NFL that have been able to win. Like, you look at the Rams. They won a Super Bowl. They didn't have a first-round pick. Like, the Rams this year, it's the first time they're picking in the first round since 2016 when they took Jared Goff, I believe. Like, they've passed on all the first-round picks to get star players. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They've been a very aggressive team. Yes, they got an early pick that last season in Jordan Davis that obviously worked out for them. But if I were to tell you right now, Chef, right, and the Raiders are the bad example, but it's why I'll try to get a franchise quarterback. If I told you right now, we could trade Alex Leatherwood, Tyree Wilson, Damon Arnett to go up and get a franchise quarterback, like, because that's 3 years of first-round picks.
Yeah.
Just because you go in the first round, I mean, we know it's not a lock to hit. And until the Raiders prove to me that they can hit, I'm willing to take the chance on the quarterback. So you're always taking a risk in everything that you do. But here's the thing. If that quarterback that you trade up for turns out to be the franchise quarterback, you're a contender. Because the way the Raiders defense is right now, you're a contender for a Super Bowl if you find a franchise quarterback. If Patrick Graham stays, Antonio Pierce stays, and you're able to keep a lot of those core players to that defense. Dylan Erickson, what's up, my brother? Thoughts on the Bengals backup quarterback for our starter? Jake Browning, I'm guessing you saw the picture of his wife. Is that why you're asking me? Her Frozo suit? It was a big topic of discussion here at Chat Sports and on the internet, and basically everybody was bonking the entire game.
Where is my super suit?
I do not want Jake Browning to be the quarterback here. I think Jake Browning was in a phenomenal situation in Cincinnati with tons of talent all around him. And again, like, you can't have the idea, if the Raiders finish this season with Jake Browning, or finish this offseason with Jake Browning as their quarterback, I mean, that's almost like having Albert Pujols in his prime go up there and bunt, right? Like, you know you're not trying to hit a home run. I don't even know, like, that's a sack bunt to me when you have an opportunity to try to hit a home run. I'm not laying down a sack bunt. Can't do that. Willie Pfister, what's up, brother? We have had enough distractions within the Raiders over the years. Russ would be another year of that. I don't disagree. Even at $1.2 million, it wouldn't be worth it, in my opinion. We have weapons on offense, just missing a few key positions. To me, though, the quarterback position is just the most important position in the NFL, and I would rather you go with Russell Wilson at QB than you go with Aiden O'Connell. Like, I know people don't like Russ, but to even compare Aiden O'Connell compared to Russell Wilson to me is very foolish, and you just cannot afford to be as bad as what you were. Like, the Raiders pissed away 2023. I mean, when you think about how good their offense was, if you're able to just find a competent quarterback, you're in the playoffs right now. You can make the argument the Raiders had the worst quarterback play in the NFL, bottom 5 quarterback play in the NFL from start to finish. That's a legitimate argument. James.
Who matters more to the defense, AP or Graham?
Patrick Graham.
And
it's close.
Okay, there we go.
Like, to me, Patrick Graham with the Raiders defense, they were good last season. They were great this season. AP turned them elite. And that's the kind of coaching duo that you need sometimes. I just want some love from the show. Keep it up. Sienna, hey, man, we appreciate that greatly, greatly.
Real one the past month.
Absolutely. I mean, right now we got 1,500 people here watching. If you haven't already, make sure you guys click that like button. But we're going to go live every single Tuesday during the offseason, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be live on Mondays as well, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. Once the offseason gets rolling a little bit more, we might start going live on Fridays. I will be live this week on Thursday. And then I'll be live also on Saturday for the Dolphins and Chiefs game. Every Chiefs playoff game we will be live for here on the Raiders Report, rooting against FKC. In fact, can I get an FKC down below?
Sienna wanted to clarify.
I'm listening.
She wanted to show some love.
I just wanted some love for the show. Hey, Sienna.
We can do both.
I'll say, I'm not afraid to show some love. I'm not afraid.
Get some FKCs in the chat.
What's up, Raiders fan? 326C. I see you. Thank you. Sir Chai, wish Mad Max got the sack record. Adios, Renfro. Yeah, Max finished the season with 15.5 sacks. He was 1 sack away from tying it, 1.5 away from breaking it. One of my predictions at the beginning of the season.
I think he deserved a half sack for one of those.
I mean, for as much as he gets held in a season, he deserved 1.5 sacks. I mean, my goodness. And then I do believe that Hunter Renfro is not going to be back next season. I'll talk about it a little bit coming up here. Matt Queen, what about getting Vrabel? I'm actually surprised that it took us this long to get this question. If you would have told me that it would have taken 34 minutes.
Rolly, our Patriots guy right here, he said Vrabel's a Patriot.
I think Vrabel is a Patriot. I think Mike Vrabel's going to the Patriots, and I think Josh McDaniels is going to be the OC.
Vrabel's a Patriot, right?
There is not any doubt in my mind that if Bill Belichick is no longer coaching the Patriots, it is 1,000%.
Yeah. Our sauces say that Vrabel, Patriot.
And then Josh McDaniels, OC. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Steve, keep AP and Patrick Graham. Hire a GM with connections to the Rams/49ers. Well, luckily, Adam Peters has got connections with the Niners. Run a
West Coast heavy
zone.
Trade back in the draft and get Knicks and a cornerback. Fix the offensive line. Draft Blake Corum and Jacobs team-friendly deal.
I mean, there's a lot going on there. I mean, here's the thing, though. That means you're going to go in, and again, like, you can go into your offseason then and have Jacobs as your main back. You're going to draft Blake Corum then, I'm going to say second or third round. And then you're also going to have Zamir White. I don't think that that's a good allocation of resources.
I think,
like, to me, I would say you pick Blake Corum or Josh Jacobs.
Hot take, First round, no running backs go. Second round, 5 off the board.
I would be shocked if a running back went in round 1, so I don't think that's a hot take. I think from rounds 2 to 3, you could see
Like 10 running backs off the board.
10's a lot.
I could
6 or 7.
Like including all the compensatory picks.
Yeah. Little shot in there. I got you. What's up, Raider Ben? We have the best edge, a great wide receiver room, best kicker, best punter, and if we shop punter for Fields and keep AP or higher, here's the thing, guys.
Everybody's got to get it through their skull. Hunter Renfrow has no trade value. There is nothing you get for Renfrow. You will probably have to give somebody a pick to take his contract.
Correct.
You're not going to get anything for Renfrow.
Yeah, like Hunter Renfrow for a 7th-round pick right now, I don't think teams do it because of the contract. You're talking about a player who's been bad the past 2 seasons, and the Raiders actually saved more money by cutting him post-June 1st, which is why the Raiders will cut him post-June 1st this season. Let's go to Raider Tone. Let's get Chris Jones in free agency. We take from the Chiefs, pair him with Crosby. I don't think they'll franchise tag him again. It's too much money. If you want Chris Jones at 29 years old, I'm just saying you better be ready to give him $30 million a year. It's a lot of money at 29.
Is it worth it to take a shot at the Chiefs?
There are 2 other defensive tackles that I would rather have over Chris Jones based on better bang for your buck and age.
Yeah.
I'll talk about who those 2 are today. Scheffler, on another note, ain't all this immune point until we find out who the GM coach is going to be.
I think you meant a mute.
A mute point, yes. You're 100% right, Scheffler.
Or your point could have gotten the vaccine, so it is immune.
Until we figure out who the head coach and GM is, you're right. This is a lot of stuff can change. However, I'm not going to sit up here and not give you guys some stuff to talk about. I'm not going to go through my talking points. I'm not going to go through what I think. Like, this is going to change on the daily. And that's just the way that this is going to have to be here for the Raiders. But, yeah, I mean, if the Raiders go AP and then you keep Champ Kelly and then you keep Patrick Graham, that's one way this offseason is going to go. Or if the Raiders go Ed Dodds and Jim Harbaugh, I'm telling you what, it's going in a completely different direction, right? We're going to find out a lot here in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. Raider Ben, next year we must utilize the tight end position. We'll utilize it a little bit more. I mean, you saw how much better Michael Mayer got. Like, think about where Mayer was at in the offseason when he was getting baptized by Max Crosby. I mean, people were worried. I was worried because one of the things that I loved about Mayer coming out of Notre Dame was he could block. And then he was getting worked. I mean, he was bad.
Last one we're going to read, and once we get to 400 likes, we're going to start our first segment. Then we'll go through the rest of the Super Chats.
They'll utilize the tight end position more because Michael Mayer will be better this season. Jose, I personally believe keeping AP and drafting Jaden Daniels should be a no-brainer. Tired of Mark Davis hiring new coaches every year, losing superstar talent year in and year out. Well, Jose, I think you're going to like what I have in store for you today. That's wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
50 more likes, and we're going to start our first segment. Let's get it popping. Latest Raiders news and rumors.
I got to change this jersey real quick. Let me go get some water so you pop up here real quick.
I'll pop.
We'll get into my perfect Raiders offseason plan.
There we go. And also, while Mitch is gone, let me tell you, because we actually haven't even mentioned this once today, we are going to do a 50-50 raffle on today's show. $10 to enter if you want to get in. Venmo, Mitchell Renz 365. Winner gets half the pot. So, $10 to enter. As many entries as you want. What's up, Knight Uchiha? I know I saw Venom in there earlier. What's up? How y'all doing? What's up? We were just talking about your Giants a second ago. AP, the new defensive coordinator? Oh, no? Oh, they don't want him. They'd rather have Patrick Graham. Y'all don't want him. They'd rather have Matt Patricia. We don't want him. I don't even know about what? That's what I've been told. That's what I've been told. All right, 8 likes away, and then we're getting into our first segment of today. I believe we're going to do perfect off-season plan. It is perfect.
All right, y'all. I am back. Appreciate everyone for hanging out with me. I know we still have some super chats to get to. We'll get to them after our first segment. Like I see Knight, Kent, Lil, Brian, Dylan, Erickson. I will get to y'all's super chats after our first segment here, but I do got to get into this first one. And again, it's going to be around my perfect off-season plan, okay? And this plan here, I'll try to go through as much of the ins and outs of it as I can. It's going to be a lot because, again, this is me trying to tell you what I would do for the Raiders. Like, right, if I'm Mark Davis, essentially, if Mark said, hey, Mitch, I'm going to sit down with you and we're going to run with your plan this offseason, then cool. This is the plan that if I had the opportunity to get in that room with Davis, to get into the room with some people that were important, and I'd say, hey, this is what I would like to do for the Raiders this season. Obviously, some things are probably going to have to change as time goes on. But overall, though, this is a solid plan for the Las Vegas Raiders in my book from start to finish. So that's going to be the first segment coming up here. Then we're going to do a mock draft and then the latest news and rumors. You done heckling me?
I'm ready to go.
Yeah? Okay. You guys ready to get this thing going? If you haven't already, smash that like button. Jaime, he's ready to go. If you're ready to get this thing going, I need a loud, and it needs to be better than what the media team did yesterday for the Las Vegas Raiders because that shit was embarrassing. So for me, I want Antonio Pierce to be able to hear it. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Raiders! Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and my perfect 2024 offseason plan for the Las Vegas Raiders is presented by TrueClassic. I know, Mitch, you don't got a jersey on backwards. You know why? Because I wanted to show you how awesome and how comfortable TrueClassic shirts are, and you can go get started by going to trueclassic.com/chatsports. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. I mean, I don't know about y'all. It's almost the summertime, new year, new me. I'm trying to show you my new year, my new fit here. So here's my perfect offseason plan. Step one, I'm going to tell you who I'm going to build the front office with. I'm going to tell you the important people of that coaching staff that I am really trying to retain. Then it's the roster management side of it. Who are we going to cut to save the money? Who are we trying to re-sign? What players am I looking to try to go out there and extend because I'm planning for the long term? Step three, free agency and the 2024 NFL Draft. Now, once the Raiders do name a general manager, we will be going live, and I know a lot of stuff is going to change. My offseason plan, once the Raiders hire a GM, once the Raiders hire a head coach, I'm probably going to have to totally redo this show because that's going to be a totally different direction, right? What I would do is probably different than what Antonio Pierce is going to do. What I would do is probably different than what somebody like potentially like Jim Harbaugh is going to do. My point is this, even though it is the off season, we got no days off around here. Subscribe, turn on those notifications. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. Let's go to the very first one here. Build the front office and the coaching staff. If I'm building my perfect Raiders off season, there are 6 names that are very important, and I'll walk you through the 6 positions and the 6 people that I really would want the Raiders to go ahead and bring in here. The general manager of the Las Vegas Raiders would be, for me, Adam Peters. Right now, the Raiders have requested to interview him. He is the assistant general manager for the San Francisco 49ers. A young man, has got a lot of good stuff going for him. Head coach, I'm going to keep Antonio Pierce. Because Adam Peters is our GM, I'm trying to bring over a young offensive coordinator and Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak, I love the old Kubiak offenses that they kind of runs first, but they also really, I think you need an athletic quarterback or somebody that can do a little West Coast, a little play action, get it going. So we bring in Clint Kubiak, who's got a lot of good ties. Because I keep Antonio Pierce, I am going to keep Patrick Graham as our DC. To me, that's a package deal. If I don't keep Patrick Graham, I'm going to go a different direction a head coach with Antonio Pierce. One of the things that I reported about 3 weeks ago was that the Raiders were thinking about bringing on important people and creating new roles. To me, yes, the Raiders are meeting with Trey Brown to be GM. However, I think that they need to give him a little bit of a raise, bring him in as assistant general manager. Right now, he's working with the Cincinnati Bengals, and then I'm going to bring in an advisor, Marvin Lewis. And the reason why I'm bringing in Marvin Lewis, got a lot of ties with Antonio Pierce. He also has a lot of ties with potentially the quarterback that I might be looking for. And some of you are probably like, well, Mitch, why don't you want Champ Kelly? It's not that I don't want Champ Kelly. I'm a believer that he's going to get an opportunity somewhere else, and I am trying to build my perfect offseason. Has Champ Kelly done a good job? Yes, he has. But I think Adam Peters could also do a very good job. On top of that, if Champ Kelly gets hired to be the GM, the Raiders get 2 third-comp picks. So I'm looking at it as I'm getting 2 extra third-round picks to be able to build for the future here for the Las Vegas Raiders. If your also perfect plan involves having Antonio Pierce as the head coach, I want you to hit that like button right now. And here's the thing. I know there's going to be some people that watch this show that say, Mitch, I really wanted Jim Harbaugh. I'll promise you this. If the Raiders hire Harbaugh, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be live. I'm going to be cheering. To me, it's got to be AP. It's got to be Jim Harbaugh, or my third option, if both of those guys aren't available, I want Patrick Graham to be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Now it's time, since I built my front office, okay? Also, I should say with the coaching staff, I'm trying to keep guys like Rob Leonard. I'm trying to keep a guy like Simmons, the defensive backs coach, of Carmen Bracillo, so Edgar Bennett, some of those important coaching staffs. Defensive side, I want to keep. Offense, we'll find some new guys. We'll let Clint bring in some of the dudes that he wants. From a roster management standpoint, as it stands right now that I am making this video, the Las Vegas Raiders have $52.4 million in salary cap space, which is 9th most in the NFL. They have 38 players signed, so you're going to add a lot of players here to the mix, and I also believe that you're going to have to give several extensions this offseason, which, again, I will get to it here in just a minute. 9 picks in total, the 13th pick overall, and coming up here on the show, I'm going to be cutting 6 dudes right now, right off the jump. It's the first thing I'm doing. I'm going to cut 6 guys, and I'm going to free up $30.4 million. You free up that type of money, you get a lot more flexibility in the offseason. I'll tell you what, $30.4 million, I don't know how many shirts that gets you from TrueClassic. It probably gets you over 1 million of them. And not only are they unbelievable, you can wear them while you're hanging out with your friends, a little date night action, maybe for a lot of you golfers out there. Any type of activity, TrueClassic, they got you. Because they're here to help you get into the new year, out with the old ratty t-shirts and sweat stains and holes, and get yourself some new shirts here from TrueClassic. Go to TrueClassic.com/chatsports. Yes, Raider Nation, I'm talking to you. TrueClassic's ultra comfortable, perfect fitting essential rain, from fitted t-shirts, athleisure, jeans, sweaters, outerwear, and more. TrueClassic is everything that you need to hit the gym, take it slow, or treat yourself to something nice. They have already helped over 2 million men look great in their apparel, and you can save big right now with us. For a limited time, get 25% off when you shop now with my exclusive link at TrueClassic.com/chatsports. So if you're ready to upgrade your closet, shop now with my exclusive link at TrueClassic.com/chatsports and save up to 25% off your first order. Make 2024 your most stylish year yet with TrueClassic. Now, me personally, I am a big fan of like their athletic shirts. Like, I know I wear a lot of t-shirts, and that's what I'm rocking right now. Personally, for me, one of the fits that Alex likes is like when I wear a coat and I'll wear a shirt underneath it, or if I'm wearing like a jean jacket, I'll wear a shirt underneath it. I like to just go with a plain like basic tee like I'm rocking right now. And with the amount of different colors, the way that it fits my body, I like them a lot. I think you guys will like it too. Chuck says, yeah, they look pretty good on you. TrueClassic.com/chatsports. If Chuck says I look good, then hey, maybe I look good. I don't look good as that guy though.
I'll take the tuna.
Pause. Coming up, I'm cutting 6 players to save $30.4 million. Also, I don't know if I said it, those links are available to you all down in the comments, down in the description. Chugs was looking at me with those big eyes of his, and I was kind of getting a little bit flustered, I'm not going to lie. So I'm cutting 6 players right now to save $30.4 million. And the 6 players that I'm moving on from are these guys right from the jump. Brian Hoyer, Britton Brown, Brandon Faison, Jacob Bobenmoyer. Moving on from all 4 of those, not a difficult decision to me. Jimmy Garoppolo, Hunter Renfrow, I am going to cut them. However, I am going to designate them as a post-June 1st cut. In the NFL, you're allowed 2 designations post-June 1st cut. So essentially what that means is Garoppolo and Renfrow will not be on the team. They will be able to sign with anybody, and the money that the Raiders get from cutting those players doesn't really impact free agency. It doesn't impact the draft. So essentially, the Raiders are going to get about $24 million after June 1st. The reason why that's important is you can then already pre-plan that you can use that money for extensions. You can pre-plan that money with the players that you go and you draft. So, free agents to re-sign now. To me, there are 5 big names that if I'm the Raiders, I'll bring them back. I'm going to figure out a way to bring back Andre James. I'm going to figure out a way to bring back Adam Butler. I'm going to figure out a way to bring back Amik Robertson. I'm going to figure out a way to bring back Jermaine Illuminor. And then he is an exclusive rights free agent, so we can sign him. And if another team wants him, they're not going to be able to get him. Isaiah Polameo. These are the 5 free agents that if I'm the Raiders, I am bringing back. Which then a lot of y'all are probably like, well, Mitch, what about Josh Jacobs? And it's a topic of discussion. I get it. Jacobs is one of the best running backs in the NFL. Finished the season with 223 carries for 805 yards and 6 touchdowns. Here's the thing, though. You're going to have to pay him some money. Zamir White showed that he could be a reliable running back. Hell, he's the first Raiders running back in Raiders history, forever, and his first 4 games to rush for over 100 yards 2 out of the 4 times. So Zamir showed you that he can be counted on, and with free agency in the draft, maybe you look to go another way. So should the Las Vegas Raiders bring back Josh Jacobs? Type B for bring back, or I want you to type L for, no, man, you can let him walk. To me, I am doing this. I look at Josh dead in the eyes, and I say, here's my offer. My offer is 3 years, $21 million with $14 million guaranteed. Like, I asked this question the other day on social media, and I couldn't believe the amount of money people were willing to give him. And Jacobs probably laughs at my offer, and if he does, cool. He's not coming back to the Raiders. The only way I am bringing back Josh Jacobs is on a team-friendly deal. To me, this is a team-friendly deal where we lock him in for 2 years, and that final year of his contract, there's nothing guaranteed. We can move on from him. So he's going to play 2 years, $14 million guaranteed, and then after that, we have the opportunity to move on. And honestly, I'd even probably rather just go draft a running back. This is more just based off of me keeping Antonio Pierce and Antonio Pierce saying that Josh Jacobs is the heart and soul of the Raiders. So now let's talk about some players to extend, because if I'm going to keep Antonio Pierce, if I'm going to keep Patrick Graham, I'm going to want some stability. And Max Crosby has said it. A lot of Raiders players have said the word stability. Well, guess what? Even though every single player that is pictured up here on screen right now has 1 year remaining on their contract, my job and what I kind of did in this perfect offseason plan is I tried to build stability on the defense. A defense that was the best Raiders defense since 2002. I'm going to give Robert Spillane a contract extension. I'm going to give Malcolm Kuntz an extension. I'm going to figure out a way to get Jack Jones, Nate Hobbs, contract extension. And then on top of that, Trevon Merrick has looked much better with the combination of Marcus Epps, and I want to be able to keep both of those safeties together. So to me, if I don't have as much money to spend in free agency, or if I don't have as much money to go out and bring in some big-name guys during free agency, that's okay. I think the plan that I have created allows me to do exactly what I'm doing here. So what I'm trying to do is solidify important pieces to this defense, and if I hire Antonio Pierce, let's say for 3 years, right? You give him 3 years. Well, guess what? I'm going to give these players an extension to ride out with that type of contract, right? Like, I want Robert Spillane, Max Crosby to both have the exact same amount of years on their deal. I want our defense to know, hey, we got Antonio Pierce here. We're keeping Patrick Graham. We're trying to keep everything together. That's what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to do everything in my power to give those 6 players a contract extension. That's why you can use that money that you save from Jimmy Garoppolo. You can use that money from Hunter Renfrow. You pair up a lot of that money, you can get a lot of those extensions done. Now it's time to go to my free agency plan. My free agency plan, if I have one opportunity to spend big, it's right now. I am going to spend big on the defensive tackle position. And the reason why I'm going to do it in free agency is because DT's kind of weak this year in the NFL draft. It is. Last year I thought it was pretty damn strong. This year, it's a little bit weaker. However, though, there are 2 defensive tackles that I like more than the rest. And the ranking system that you're going to see is based on the Raiders. It's not based on overall talent, because Chris Jones would be number 1 on every single person's list. This is me basing it off the list right now for the Raiders. I will admit, Justin there at number 1, He's going to get the most money, minus Chris Jones this offseason. Only 26 years old. If you don't get him, Christian Wilkins at number 2, and the reason why he's number 2 on my list is because Wilkins and Rob Leonard, the Raiders' current defensive line coach, remember, Leonard was down in Miami. Leonard was a part of the regime that brought in Wilkins and has worked with Wilkins before. So because of that, if you also haven't watched Hard Knocks, Wilkins is an unbelievable locker room guy that I think would fit great for what the Raiders need. So because of that, and I get it, some people are saying that they're going to be tagged. They might get tagged. My point is, I am willing to spend this offseason big on defensive tackle. I want the Raiders to have the meanest, the baddest, the biggest, the best damn defensive line in the National Football League. Let Malcolm Kuntz get more one-on-ones. Let Max Crosby get more one-on-ones. Bring back Adam Butler. Let Tyree Wilson eat in the middle, because if it's Tyree Wilson, Adam Butler, and then you put one of these guys into the rotation, good luck taking down that Raiders defense. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to sign a right guard. Based on my plan that I have created, you're going to have Colton Miller at left tackle. Your left guard's probably going to be Dylan Parham. I am going to try to bring back Andre James. If you're unable to bring back Andre James, well, then maybe you kick Dylan Parham in at center, and then you're looking for 2 offensive guards. So essentially, I could say I got to find 2 guards. I am going to try to bring back Jermaine Illuminor. He played a lot better than what people give him credit for at right tackle. But let's just say that this could be the Raiders' offensive line next season, because Greg Van Roten's a free agent. So, okay, I got Colton Miller, I got Dylan Parham, I got Andre James, I got Jermaine Illuminor. Well, now I got to go out and I got to find a right guard. And because this season's so important for the Raiders to find a quarterback, you also need to be able to build a great offensive line. And I'm thinking by bringing back Jermaine and Andre James on re-signs, you save a lot more money compared to trying to go out and just finding a new center or finding a new right tackle in free agency. When you re-sign a player, it's a lot cheaper than going out and battling on the open market. So my right guard free agency targets are Kevin Dotson, Robert Hunt, Kevin Zeitler, and Greg Van Roten. Yes, I would be up for the idea to bring back Van Roten again. I get it. He's 34 years old, but I kind of laugh a little bit when I say, like, I would be open to the idea of bringing back Van Roten. And when the Raiders brought back Richie Incognito, a lot of Raider fans were super, super excited. Van Roten's 4 years younger, and Van Roten was really solid this season. Maybe not really solid. He was solid enough. And if I got to go a little bit cheaper and bring back an offensive line with some continuity again, I am willing to do that. It's going to cost a lot for a guy like Dotson, and if you don't get one of those 4 players on a reasonable contract, a contract that you feel like you're getting a good deal on, well, then that's where you could potentially go to the NFL draft and find yourself an interior guard. Now, remember, y'all, we're doing a perfect offseason plan here on the Raiders Report, and I appreciate each and every one of y'all for always tuning into these shows. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed. Let's go to number 3 here. Sign a cheap corner. If I'm going to try to bring back Amik Robertson, and if I just told you I'm extending Jack Jones and Nate Hobbs, this is where I'm going to look for a versatile, cheap corner that I can just pair with some of these other players, bring them in, or you go ahead and you look at a lot in the NFL draft. So as it stands now, like, what is somebody like Jacorian Bennett? I want to see what we can get out of Bennett going in here a little bit more. I don't think that spending big is the right option. Like, if you told me, Mitch, would you rather spend big at corner or defensive tackle? I would rather spend big on DT. If you want to spend big on corner, his name is Jalen Johnson. And if the Raiders keep Champ Kelly, could be an option. Let's go to another one here, linebacker depth. Divine Diablo's been a big-time question mark. Yes, the Raiders have Robert Spillane, but I still would like to have maybe just one more person for a little bit of linebacker depth, because I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that this linebacker room looks a lot different, right? Divine Diablo, don't know if he's going to be back. I mean, this could be a potential cut candidate. Luke Masterson, yes, the Raiders drafted Amari Burney, but that wasn't a part of this regime, and he was a healthy scratch a lot of the time. Curtis Bolton ended the season injured, and you just need to be able to find some extra pieces there at the linebacker position, maybe find a little bit more versatility. So coming up now is my plan at quarterback, which is probably the most important thing and probably the number one reason why y'all even tuned into this video, right? What's Mitch's plan at QB? Well, if you want to know what my plan is, for those of you that aren't watching this live, you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. All right, here we go. My plan at quarterback. The first thing that I would do, and when I say number one, this is based off like plan A. My plan A is I'm going to trade up for a top quarterback in the 2024 NFL Draft. I'm going to walk into that room and I'm going to say, hey, this is the guy that I want, right? You got to be able to study. Maybe that's a guy like Caleb Williams. Maybe it's a dude like a Drake May. Maybe it's somebody like Jaden Daniels. But to me, in a perfect world, and this is my perfect offseason, I'm going to try to figure out a way to get up to pick number 3. Because if I can get up to pick number 3, then that solidifies my ability to get one of those top quarterbacks here in the NFL Draft. And I am a believer that there are 3 franchise QBs in this draft and 3 dudes that I would be willing to invest a lot in. I'll admit, the reason why I picked number 3 is because the trade capital to get to pick number 3 compared to getting to pick 2 and 1 is significantly less because of, I think Drake May and Caleb Williams are probably pick 1 and 2. But getting to pick 3, not going to be easy because I don't know if a team's going to trade out. What I actually think is a more likely scenario is a team like the Patriots or Commanders trade with the Bears to get up to number 1. The Bears go to number 3, and then the Bears actually trade back yet again to get even more picks. Like, that, to me, is a more realistic probability than you trading with New England at pick 3. However, though, I did want to try to explain to you what the cost would potentially be if the Raiders traded up to number 3. This is based off of trade value chart. This is based off of past previous trades in the NFL Draft. This is based off of reports. So I try to do not what's just best for the Raiders. I try to do what I think it's honestly going to cost. So the Raiders, they get up to pick number 3. The New England Patriots get the Raiders' first and third round pick in this year's draft, and they also get the Raiders' first and second round pick in next year's draft. So if you're like, yeah, that's not that bad of a value. Like, I'm telling you right now, if this is what it costs to go up and get a Jaden Daniels and pair him with Antonio Pierce, I'm doing this in a heartbeat. If you want to go up to number 1 and say, man, I get to pick anything I want, I get to pick any quarterback that I want, this is what it's going to cost. 3 first-round picks, so pick number 13 overall, your first-round pick in 2025, 2026, 2 second-round picks in 2024 and 2025, and then it's also going to cost you your third-round pick this season. So essentially, your first 3 picks this season, throw them out the window, gone. Your second-round pick, your first 2 picks next season, throw them out the window, gone. It is a lot, but if you can get your franchise quarterback, well then, hey, maybe you try to do it, right? Here's the thing, man. I would do anything to get a franchise QB. And when I say anything, I almost mean anything. I would say any player not named Max Crosby is available for a trade. And I know what that means. I know a lot of y'all are saying, Mitch, you would really trade Davante Adams for a franchise quarterback. I would. I would trade Davante Adams for a franchise guy because this is the year that you're going to get the most value out of him. His salary cap hits in 2025 and at 2026 when he's 32 and 33 years old is going to be $44 million. If you don't have your franchise quarterback, I'm not paying a wide receiver $44 million anyway. So the way that I look at it is I'm going to get the most value. And to me, Davante Adams, because the Raiders have already paid him for 2024, you want 2 first-round picks. But I'll tell you this, the only way I'm trading Davante Adams is to get a franchise quarterback. So if I can use those picks, I could do that. Or the other option is you trade Davante outright, which this is potentially what it could cost to go up to number 1 with the Bears. 3 first-round picks, so 13, 25, and 26, a second-round pick in 2025, and then Davante Adams. I know it's a lot. And this is the trade that essentially a Bears fan threw at me, though I'm trying to see. I think actually I meant it as 13 and 25. Yeah, I'm looking at my notes. So, what is it? Now I'm confused. Now let me look real quick just to get it right. Okay, yeah, it's 2 first-round picks. So 13 and 25. Get rid of the 26 here. So it's 2 first-round picks, 13 and 25, a second-round pick in 2025, and Davante Adams. That was the idea to get up to number 1. So that's after I talked to one of our Bears guys. I was going to say, I think it was only 2 first. So 2 first, Davante Adams, and a second-round pick. That's going to get you up to number 1. So if you want to do that, it's a possibility again. And if this is what I got to do to go up to number 1 to get your franchise guy, cool. Again, personally for me, I would aim at pick number 3 in this year's draft. But here's your go. Job's open. You be the GM. Would you trade Davante Adams to get a franchise quarterback? I want you to type T for trade or type P for pass. What do you think? Would you trade Davante Adams to get a franchise quarterback? My answer to this is yes. I would trade Davante to get a franchise quarterback. Let's go to my other plan here at quarterback. If you can't get a franchise QB because, hey, Mitch, it just costs way too much, then this is where you trade for Justin Fields. You give up a second. I think you might even be able to get him for a third-round pick. Justin Fields would be my option here at number 2 if I can't trade up for a quarterback. My option number 3 would be draft a QB in round 2 or 3. For me, the quarterbacks that I would target here in this area would be a Michael Penix Jr., a Bo Nix. I don't really want J.J. McCarthy, though if Harbaugh gets brought in, it could be a different discussion. And then my 4th plan, sign Russell Wilson to $1.21 million. If none of these work, what you cannot afford is to go into next season with Aiden O'Connell as your starting quarterback. Can't have it happen. It's an awful decision. If none of that stuff works, I would then think about bringing in Russell Wilson at $1.21 million because he's already getting 89 once the Broncos cut him. And the reason why he would do it for 1.21 is because he could stick it to the Broncos because whatever he signs for his next team, the Broncos get a credit for. So why would Russell Wilson sign for $40 million with a team when he's already getting paid a lot of money when he could stick it to the Broncos and then they only get 1.21? For Russ, this is what he would do. So then my final plan here for my perfect offseason is the NFL draft. And if a lot of this stuff happens, again, like to be able to sit up here and say which players I'm going to go after, it's a little bit of a different discussion. I am about to do a mock draft, so you can keep an eye out for that. To me, the Raiders draft needs are this. To me, right now, as it stands, the moment that I am making this video, the Raiders draft needs are quarterback, cornerback, defensive tackle, running back, and offensive line. Like, you can look at a few different things here. Like, if you take a quarterback as early as Jaden Daniels and you don't get anybody in free agency at the offensive line, guess what? O-line's going up more. I base this off of what I did in free agency, and I base this off of everything that I laid out there for my perfect plan. So hopefully y'all like my plan. I know there was a lot in there. This might be the longest Raiders video that I have ever made on this channel, but in order to have a perfect offseason plan, there's a lot to get into. So here's your opportunity to grade my perfect offseason. This would be what I would present to Mark Davis. This is what I would present to the Las Vegas Raiders if I had the opportunity to be the GM of the team. Because to me, if you're not already doing that, you're not the right man for the job. Like, I would want the general manager to walk in there and say, this is the blueprint. This is where I would try to go for this organization. So grade it for me. A, B, C, D, or F. Essentially, the important ones, I'm having Antonio Pierce, Patrick Graham back. Adam Peters as GM. I'm getting 2 extra third-round comp picks for moving on from Champ Kelly. I'm going to try to keep the offensive line intact. I'm going to probably have a guy like Jaden Daniels at quarterback, and I'm going to try to sign a big DT. Those are my big takeaways here. But please grade my perfect offseason here for the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, Chucks, can you give a few shout-outs here? I'm going to put on a jersey, and then we're going to get back into answering some supers.
Let's see. We have A. A lot of A's. A lot of A+s. Some B's. A+, A, B. I see. Now we're switching over to this question. Here we go. Should the Raiders trade up in the 2024 NFL Draft for a quarterback? Give me a T for trade, a P for pass. What should they do? A lot of more people are warming up to the idea of trading Davante Adams. I don't know if he goes for 2 firsts. I don't think that happens, but
yeah, I don't know if he does either. It's just what I would want, right? And it's I think some teams would be willing to do it, and other teams won't, and that's just the way that it goes. That's the way that it is.
I think the teams that would be willing to give up 2 firsts are in the last 8 picks of the draft. I don't think anybody inside, because if you're trading 2 firsts for Davante, that means he is the last piece for you winning a Super Bowl.
I actually think what I think is legitimately more likely that ends up happening is
they trade him to the Chiefs.
No, a team, like you're saying, a team that believes that they're in contention right now, or even a team, I think the Jets could be in that discussion. They give you 2 first-round picks, and then you use 2 of those first-round picks to go up and get a quarterback.
I think the teams that are willing to give up 2 firsts would be the Bills.
Maybe, yeah, okay.
I think the Ravens.
They need a receiver, but okay.
I think, as crazy as it sounds, the Rams or the Niners, they're
always looking to deal.
They're very much F them picks. Maybe they have a lot of picks. I'm going to say the Cardinals have some extra picks because of the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Jets are the team that
the Jets.
The Jets got to be the number one team, but we'll see.
But I don't think the Jets will give up 2 firsts after just trading a ton of picks for Aaron Rodgers.
I don't even know. It's what I would want. And that's kind of where I'm at here. I would want 2 firsts for Davante Adams. And if you don't get it, I get it. You're going to have to renegotiate here a little bit. But what I don't want is you can't just trade him away for, like, if it's 1 first-round pick, I'd be a little bit disappointed in that for the simple fact of he's already paid for this season. Let's go back to some super chats here. And remember, if you want to get on, if you want to give me your opinion about my plan or you want to give me your opinion about your plan, hashtag Raiders or super chat. Knight says, can Mitch and Chugs give me a Raiders?
How much does a team owe if they trade for Adams?
Money-wise?
How much do they owe him?
None. It's free. Raiders already paid him for 2024. And then
Is it just like bet minimum, I'm guessing, on the contract? What you're going? His base salary is better than minimum.
whatever the team would, they wouldn't have to pay him. The Raiders already paid him. So one of the Raiders' contract restructures this past year, they turned his money into like cash, so they already paid it to him up front. I think I have a graphic on it somewhere in Raiders, but here's the thing, though. Then the following year, right, is when you'd have to pay him. I want to say for the team that trades for him then, I don't know if it's the same cap hit of $44 million, but it's definitely $35 million. So the way Adams' contract works is they have a get-out clause after this year. If the Raiders wanted to get
Penix drop on the draft board after that game? I think so.
I think he did. And
I mean, that's the last game in everybody's memory is that championship game.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but, I mean, you have to consider the fact that, yes, he definitely dropped down. Now, again, I always viewed him as this fringe round 1. I mean, I was making bets with people that he wasn't going top 40. That might happen. I would say he's probably in that 22 to 40 range of where he goes, which is obviously a large range gap. But I think a lot of people, I mean, I was making bets with people that he was going to go top 13, top 10, which I never thought that was going to happen. Lil Feel like me, we shouldn't keep AP and get Fields. I mean, I think this, though, if you want to get Justin Fields, you probably want to keep Antonio Pierce. Like, one of the reasons why the Raiders could get Justin Fields is because the more you keep AP, that means more the current players are together, and I know a lot of those players talked to me that they would be open to the idea of Fields. On top of that, though, if Champ Kelly sticks around, your odds of getting Fields go up a little bit. If Champ Kelly leaves, I think whatever team brings in Champ Kelly could potentially go out and look for a quarterback like Fields because they have a good relationship together. Let's go to my man, Brian Folsom. Hello, gentlemen. Don't trade any picks. Let's rebuild through the draft. Let's go Raiders.
Now, I do have to say, if the Raiders are able to maybe get some sort of bridge quarterback, get one of the guys in free agency, even though I know it's not sexy, but like a Baker Mayfield, Jameis Winston, somebody that can give you 1 year, and they knock out this year in the draft, I don't hate it.
But then you still don't have a quarterback. Like, I think if you do that, you're in the exact same position again.
But your roster's better, and you're a quarterback away now. You're not a quarterback away now. If you add a good quarterback to this Raiders team, they're not winning the Super Bowl.
Ooh, I disagree with that. I think if the Raiders had a top 5 defense to finish the season. They did. And from the moment Antonio Pierce got hired, they were a top 5 defense. If you give a top 5 defense, legitimately, a great offense, I mean, that's a Super Bowl caliber team, is it not?
I think the Raiders have more holes in their roster that need to be filled.
Sure. I mean, you have a top 10 wide receiver core with Davante.
And they were top 5 towards the end of the year, but like moving forward, I don't think they're going to be top 5 next year unless they add more pieces.
Maybe. I mean, they're not losing a lot.
Unless you think Adam Butler and Malcolm Kuntz are going to play out of their minds next year.
Well, Adam Butler's a free agent. I want to bring back Adam. Like, you need to bring back a few key pieces. Like, I do think, though, if the Raiders had a top 10 quarterback on this year's team, they could have competed. Like, at the end of the day, if you have a good defense playing hot football, anything can happen. Obviously, they wouldn't be one of the favorites, but I think that they'd have a shot. They're going to have to rebuild, retool, just like every single team. They do have holes.
I think if they had a good QB this year, they would be the 6th seed. They'd be like a wild card team. Maybe win first round. I wouldn't consider them actual contenders to go to the Super Bowl, though.
Again, I guess it just depends who your quarterback is. Like if the Raiders had C.J. Stroud, I'll disagree with you on that. I think if they had a quarterback like Stroud, they're a Super Bowl caliber team. Because you have Davante Adams, you have Jacoby Myers. Yeah, Michael Mayer got hurt. I get it. Jacobs got hurt, but there was enough pieces there. You had a top 12 offensive line. I think that they could have competed. They could have.
I think they need more talent.
They do need more talent, especially to be consistent. Like, what I'm saying is the Raiders showed me that they could beat anybody, which is all you need to do the playoffs. To be consistent, though, on a season basis, I agree with you that they probably would have been a wild card team. But when the defense was playing the way that they were, they could beat anybody. You just need to be able to score some points, which they could not do.
But, I mean, this is the same defense that let Buffalo put 35 on their head top.
It's not the same defense. Not even close to the same defense. It's
Jack
not.
Jones.
No, I mean, it's not the same defense,
It's the same players except Jack Jones.
No.
Name what other player besides Jack Jones was not on the field for the Bills game?
I mean, the fact that Josh McDaniels isn't the head coach is the mic drop of all mic drops. It is, though, dude.
But I'm talking on-field talent. They still got worked against the Bills.
I mean, if you looked at the Raiders on a piece of paper, they don't have a top 3 defense. I think a lot of people agree. But together as a team, they played really well football. They played solid. I mean, they were great with Patrick Graham's scheme. They played like a top 3, top 5 defense in the season. I don't think that that's debatable. They did, dude. They were legit defense. Dylan, I want AP back, but I am worried he will continue with Aiden as a starter. I did see a report that came out and said something like, the team is like backing up, if you will, like Aiden O'Connell, and there's a lot of people in there supporting him. I think it's just one of those things like, what do you expect the team to do? Of course they're going to back him. If AP steps up at that podium, I'm telling you, and he says Aiden O'Connell is our starting quarterback going into the season, I am going to be pissed off, and I want a lot of Raider fans to be pissed off too because it's the wrong move. It seems defensive coaches stick with QBs too long. Belichick, Jones, Tomlin, Pickett. I mean, Tomlin's already moved on from Kenny Pickett, and Belichick benched Mac Jones, so there you go. Jermel Scott, what would it take to get Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Top 3 pick.
Yes, the Raiders could use Marvin Harrison Jr., but it doesn't make any sense for you to go get him. Because if you're going to trade up into the top 3, you're going to trade up into the top 3 to take a quarterback. You're not going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. I get it. He's a phenomenal wide receiver prospect, but no, it's not going to happen. It would be, again, a fireable offense for the Raiders to trade up into the top 3 and take Marvin Harrison Jr. If you give up all those picks and take Marvin Harrison Jr., you deserve to be fired on the spot. Right there. Just fire him on the spot. The only way you're trading up is for a QB. There's no way. No way. I get it. Man can dream. Like, to me, I'm not going to trade up to 3 for Marvin Harrison Jr. when potentially, I don't think it happens, like maybe a Malik Neighbors or Rome slides down the board to you at 13. Again, I don't think it happens, but it could. And that's at least worth the risk instead of going up and trading up to get a wide receiver. So it's all good, though. Jermel, appreciate you. Let's go to Nico. My plan is to do the opposite of what we've been doing at quarterback since 2016. So for that, trade Tay, trade Jacoby, trade Mark Davis, his haircut, F them picks, Caleb, May, Daniels, Fields as a last resort. I do think that you have to find a difference maker at quarterback, and I think that's what you're trying to say here is, like, the Raiders haven't had a difference maker at quarterback since 2016. And I wish Derek never would have got hurt, but I think every Raider fan that's an honest Raider fan with themselves, 2015, 2016, Derek Carr is a totally different quarterback from DC after that. And I get people wanted DC to be 2015, 2016, but you got to be able to find a difference maker at QB. And Caleb, May, Daniels are difference makers. And yes, I think Fields would be a good option as your last resort.
I have to admit, though, everybody thinks the haircut's stupid because the Raiders are bad. I bet you if the Raiders were really good, if they were Super Bowl contenders, people would be wearing Mark Davis wigs to games.
Yes, but it wouldn't be because they thought it looked good.
But he wouldn't get clowned as much.
Of course. That's just like anything, though.
John Doe, you all see how Jaden Daniels was in attendance for our last game? Was in the locker room afterwards as well. Trade up and get our guy, Raiders.
I really, really believe if Antonio Pierce is the Raiders head coach, that's also one of the reasons why earlier, if you saw in my perfect offseason plan, I brought in Marvin Lewis. So Marvin Lewis is very, very well connected with Pierce. Also, Marvin Lewis is very well connected with Jaden Daniels' family, and there's a reason why Daniels was in that locker room. There's a reason why when Daniels won the Heisman, he gave a speech to Antonio Pierce. Like, if you're going to keep a guy like Pierce, you got to trust him. And if he says, I want Jaden Daniels, you got to trust him. And I don't think it's outside of the possibility that Jaden Daniels goes number 1 overall. And that might be a crazy thing for some people, but he's going to be the quarterback that I think has the best NFL combine. And due to recency bias and him winning the Heisman, I'm telling you right now, it's not impossible for Jaden Daniels to go number 1 overall. Let's go to Search I. One thing I appreciate about Chat Sports is Jeremy Chugg's knowledge of HBCU players in the 6th and 7th rounds. We need to look at some of them.
Oh.
Getting some hype.
I have one name.
Yeah?
I have one name. We haven't done our draft research. Our draft team here at Chat Sports has not started on that. That will happen
Search I appreciate
right after
that.
the draft. One name to look out for.
Mm-hmm.
One name. HBCU. Aneem Dankwa. Offensive tackle out of Howard.
Uh-huh.
He's a Raider guy through and through.
Yeah.
6'8", 370.
Oh,
Dude is
Lord.
an absolute unit. Aneem Dankwa, offensive tackle out of Howard. Look him up, Search I. Look him up.
I mean, I'll have to do that. We got a lot of awesome people here at Chat Sports.
Aneem Dankwa. With a name like Dankwa, you're drafting him around 6 or 7, regardless of how he plays.
I think about what Chat Sports is now compared to what it was like when I first started here, and I mean, it's crazy. I mean, there was one point we only had 4 people here working, and now we got 26. Like, it's pretty crazy. But I think we do a good job here. We also try to interact with the nation. We try to have a good time. And, you're able to create really, really cool friendships. Like, I see people, Football Kids was watching us last night. What's up, Football Kids? Jeffrey Kreischer, that's an OG right there. Dolores Motherly, I've seen starting to watch a little bit more.
6'8".
Daniel Caps Keenan, like he changed his name. I love it.
6'8" tackle. That's a Raider.
6'8"?
I'm excited about
Dalton Wagner.
Dalton Wagner for next year.
I'm excited about Dalton Wagner. I think it's a name that a lot of people are forgetting about that this Raiders coaching staff does like quite a bit. And you're my boy, Daniel Caps Keenan. You're my boy, Blue. What's up, Jack? If Bears draft a wide receiver and so Arizona stays with Kyler Murray, we can trade to 4 or 5 and get a QB.
I guarantee you 2 of the top 3 picks will be quarterbacks. There's no way we get out of the first 3 picks and there's still 2 of the top quarterbacks on the board.
I would say this. If you, maybe on draft night itself, you could trade up to 4 and 5 if a quarterback slides, yes. You deserve to be fired, though, as a head coach or GM if the Raiders say, you know what, I think that a quarterback's going to be available at 4 or 5. If you trade up to get to there, which, again, you're trading the first, the second, probably another first-round pick to go up to 4 or 5, and then what happens on draft night if, it happens just like last year where 3 quarterbacks go in the top 4 picks. Like, teams could potentially trade up on draft night, and what you don't want is for you to trade up to a spot. Like, if I'm the Raiders right now, I am calling to get pick number 3 because, to me, that's the hot spot right now. Like, that's exactly where I would want to be. And I get it. It's the New England Patriots, and maybe there's some bad blood there and whatnot. And sure, if Josh McDaniels is the OC of the New England Patriots this next year, I don't think a trade's going to end up going down. But if I'm the Raiders, that's the pick that I would try to get to. Or if you believe in your head coach enough and he knows a guy that he loves and he wants to go up and get him at 1, you got to do it.
It would be malpractice for one of these GMs if you're drafting 1, 2, or 3 and you're not taking a quarterback to not trade back.
Yeah.
The amount of draft capital that you could get
I agree.
is out of this world for you to take a wide receiver, especially I know Marvin Harrison, Rome Odunze, really, really good. But this wide receiver draft is loaded. So why not trade back, get 3, 4 first-round picks for the future, continue to build year after year, then take a wide receiver in the top 3? I don't think that happens. I think maybe, I could see 4 Arizona staying put to get Marvin Harrison.
Oh, yeah. If I'm the Arizona Cardinals, and it's already been reported that they do plan to stick with Kyler Murray, if you're Arizona, you're taking Marvin Harrison Jr. if he's there at 4. Like, you put him with Kyler Murray, good luck.
And if Marvin Harrison's off the board, you're trading back because one of these teams is going to trade up for either Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, or Drake May, whichever quarterback's left on the board. I don't think they escape the top 4.
I don't think so either.
I think a team might take Marvin Harrison in the top 4 because he's that good of a player. But with the amount of, just off the top of my head, the Vikings need a quarterback. The Raiders need a quarterback. Multiple teams still need a quarterback.
Oh, yeah. I think the Patriots take a QB. I think the Commanders take a QB, and the Bears.
The Falcons need The Falcons could trade up for a quarterback.
They should.
The Buccaneers could trade up for a quarterback. The Saints could trade up for a quarterback.
No.
Maybe not this year.
Yeah, they got Carr. Garrett Edwards, if the Raiders decide to stay at the 13th pick, who do you think will be available at that point, and who should be picked? I think the Raiders, and what's so hard about this question is we don't know what the Raiders are going to do in free agency, right? Like, I think for the Raiders, you have to legitimately go best player available. And sometimes, teams get themselves in trouble when they draft based on need, right? Like, that's why Cleveland Ferrell was such a reach. That's why Jonathan Abram was such a reach. That's why, taking Damon Arnett at 19 was a reach. Like, you drafted based on what you needed, which I do think, like, sometimes important for good teams. Like, good teams that are Super Bowl contending, yeah, you draft based on need. When you're the Las Vegas Raiders and you have been as bad as what you have been in the draft and, you're still trying to get yourself to where you're trying to go, which is the Kansas City Chiefs, you got to just try to put as much talent as humanly possible on that roster, and, like, they'll find a way to get their playing time. So for me, for the Raiders, you got to go best player available. If that's an offensive tackle, you take a tackle. If that's a defensive tackle, you go DT. If it's a corner, corner. If it's an edge, edge. Like, there's going to be good players on the board for the Raiders. That's the direction I think the Raiders got to go in. You just got to take the best player available. Let's go to Steve. That's why you trade Adams and replace him with Rome or Malik with capital from Tay. Trade a 2024-2025 first and second, pick Daniels at 3.
Now, something that I could see get done is there are reports that the Commanders really, really badly want Caleb Williams.
Okay.
They want him very bad. I could see a world where the Commanders, to make sure nobody else trades up, trades with the Bears. They trade back 1 spot to 2.
Okay.
And then the Bears are then, once again, shopping that second pick to get even more draft capital and drop down.
I guess so. I'm trying to figure out this. I don't understand how you're getting. I guess if you're saying you trade Tay, you get 2 first-round picks. You're going to use one of those first-round picks to replace Davante with Rome. So let's say you get a 2024 first. I still think, like, you're going to need more. You know what I mean? Like, I hear your plan, but I think, like, you're still going to need a lot more draft capital then to go up and get your star receiver or get your star quarterback. Nico, to the AOC stands, did y'all watch these games or look at the stat sheet? This guy is a statue, can move in and out, or can't move in and out of the pocket. You can't teach athletic ability. A strong breeze could sack him. I think a lot of times people with Aiden O'Connell, it's the exact same conversation with Derek Carr, where I'm a Raider fan through and through, right? And Sometimes, though, you got to take off your Raider fan glasses, and that's okay. It doesn't make you a bad Raider fan. It makes you a realist. Like, I would say the exact same thing. If I had a kid, son, daughter, whoever, if they did something that, I don't know, maybe I didn't 100% agree with, or even if it was sports related, I'm not going to sit up there and tell them, oh, you're doing a great job if they're not doing a great job. Like, the only way you're going to succeed in life is say, hey, yeah, I get it. You didn't get it this time, but here's an opportunity for you to get better. Like, that's the same conversation I would have with the Raiders where, okay, you have A, no C. Okay, like, you didn't get it this time, but now we have an opportunity to get better. Like, I don't think cupcakes, butterflies, rainbows is the way to get better in life. It might be in some people's, but, I mean, anybody that thinks AOC is a top 32 quarterback and anybody that thinks that the Raiders should stick with him, I can't wrap my mind around it.
There's a guy on Twitter who just tweeted at me,
What?
AOC last 4 games, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Yep.
CJ Stroud last 4 games, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Yep.
Now, let's hear from all the idiots that don't want AOC.
Again, if you're going to be a box score warrior and tell me Aiden O'Connell's stats, you just didn't watch the game. And he had a great game against the Chargers, but that if you're taking that Chargers game and you're honestly taking takeaways from that game, I feel bad for you. I do. I feel bad for you. Like, Aiden wasn't good the past week against the Broncos. Even in the game against the Colts, like, oh, okay, he threw for what, 299 and 2 touchdowns? He was not good in that game. A lot of empty stats. Like, in today's day and age, you got to be able to move a little bit. And I'm not betting my future, my livelihood, I'm not putting my family's lives in jeopardy with roof over the head, food on the table. Like, I get it. These coaches are still going to make a lot of money. But I'm not jeopardizing that with Aiden O'Connell. He's a great dude. He's a guy I still want on the team. You just can't have him as a starter. Can't have it. James. D played. Well, it scared me. I saw James. D played real good for 3/4 of the season. Should we be worried they take a step back? You should be worried that the Raiders take a step back. And if you do not bring back Patrick Graham, I anticipate that the defense does take a major step back. And, I mean, you got to learn a brand new defensive scheme again, right? Like, this is a top 5 defense based off, right now at the current unit, based off of what the Raiders currently have. Like, they're probably going to take a little bit of a step back. However, hopefully we can also continue to get better. We'll see. You got to hope that the team stays intact. Did a PFN mock draft and was able to trade up to the 9th pick for our 13th. 2025 first and 4th, was able to snag Jaden Daniels. Think it could happen. I'll say this. You're about to see my mock draft here, and I'm not going to say I do trade up. I'm not going to say I don't trade up. But do I think Jaden Daniels falls to 9? No, I do not. Brandon Jasper. Sorry I'm late. But here is my shout out for locals for the best content, personal interactions, and more live shows. Brandon Jasper, a salute to you. For those that do not know, I will be live tomorrow on Locals at Raidersport.locals.com. Let's go to the next one here, and then from Jesse Z. And I believe we're all caught up on supers, and then we're going to get into my next segment here, which is my Raiders mock draft. Maybe you have touched on this, but if we do in some world get Harbaugh, how would you guys feel about drafting JJ with him? If AP stays, we have to get Jaden Daniels, right? I would say that the most likely candidate to be the Raiders quarterback would be Jaden Daniels if the Raiders do decide to keep Antonio Pierce. It just depends on how much you're going to have to go up in order to get him. Even if the Raiders bring in Jim Harbaugh, I would not want J.J. McCarthy to be the Raiders quarterback. Like, J.J.'s a good college QB. He's in a perfect system around him, and it's just not going to be as easy, right? Like, his offensive line is not going to dominate the way that it does at Michigan. His running game's not going to carry him the way that it did at Michigan, right? Like, that's just, he's built on being a college-style type of quarterback. I would not want J.J. McCarthy. I just don't see him as an NFL starting quarterback. Good college quarterback, not an NFL guy. All right, my man.
All right.
Let's get in to our mock draft here, and I'll walk you through everything that happened here. But I think that this is just about a perfect mock draft here for the Las Vegas Raiders. And sometimes things happen when you don't expect them. So, Chugs, If the segment is Mando, correct? Mando Italiano, Mando Italiano. All right, you ready? Chuck says yes. Are you guys ready? Hopefully this one coming off right here. Raiders mock draft. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. It's Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports. And coming up here on today's show is the perfect Las Vegas Raiders 2024 mock draft. I ran this simulation on PFF, and I just got to tell you guys honestly, when I sat down and I did this mock draft, I said that I am not going to do any trades. That's me being honest with you. But the importance of the NFL draft based off of what we know right now, which I don't know who the head coach is, I don't know who the GM is, I don't know what we did in free agency. I am just basing off what I think is the most important for the Las Vegas Raiders. When you go into the draft, I think that Las Vegas should based on best player available. But if a player slides, sometimes you got to take advantage of it. So as it stands right now, the Las Vegas Raiders have 9 picks in total. You got a first, a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, and 3 seventh-round picks. And some of these are going to change just based off of comp picks. And once, certain guys get hired, like if the Raiders GM, Champ Kelly, leaves, he gets hired by another team, the Raiders get 2 third comp picks. So some of these numbers are going to change. What's important is just knowing that the Raiders have 3 picks in the 7th, a 6th, a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and a 5th round pick. Now, if you're like me, I love doing mock drafts, and I always tell people this every single year. If you take time out of your day to watch this mock, take a second, give me a follow on IG, give me a follow on Twitter, take a screenshot, send me your mock draft. I will do my best to go through and I'll grade them. I do a lot of mock drafts here in the offseason. So if you're like, Mitch, I watched your mock. Awesome. Well, how about this? You rock out with your mock out. Send it to me. Giggity. Slide in those DMs. I'll do my best, and I'll give you an honest grade. So here's how this 2024 mock draft on PFF ended up going down. With the number 1 pick, Caleb Williams goes off the board. Drake May goes off the board at 2. And this is where it got interesting. Marvin Harrison Jr. goes off the board at 3. Rome Odunze at 4. Malik Neighbors at 5. Cooper DeJean at number 6. At number 7 is Jerzon Newton, and then that means the Atlanta Falcons are on the board. And like I said earlier on this show, I did not plan on doing trades, but I can't sit up here and scream and yell that the Las Vegas Raiders, that Josh McDaniels can't make pre-game adjustments, post-game adjustments, in-game adjustments, and I don't do the exact same thing. So guess what? I threw my entire plan out the window, and I'm going to be making a trade because I'll tell you this right now. If there's a player on the board at number 8, and whoever the head coach, whoever the GM is, doesn't pick up that phone, and if they don't call the Atlanta Falcons, honestly, I would have made this call probably a little bit sooner. If you don't make the call, you don't deserve to be the head coach because you don't know what you're doing to me, right? So this is the trade that I ended up making. The Las Vegas Raiders pick up the phone, and I did have to give up a little bit more because even in the mock, which I was surprised by, this one, first off, the first offer I offered was the 13th and the 77th pick. They said no to that because they had another offer. So the only way that I could have gotten it done was I gave up my first round pick and my second round pick in this year's draft. So 13 overall, 44th overall, and I'm going to go get a quarterback here. So knowing that, who wins this trade? The Las Vegas Raiders or the Atlanta Falcons? Now, I see a lot of people saying the Falcons would never do that. However, I do think that the number 1 team most likely to trade for Justin Fields that's not named the Las Vegas Raiders, honestly, is the Atlanta Falcons. So in my scenario here, Atlanta already has a QB. They already have Justin Fields. They don't need to go, and they don't need to go get a brand new guy. So to me, if I have the opportunity to get my franchise quarterback, guess what? I know I said I wasn't going to do a trade, but in life, sometimes you got to be willing to do things a little bit different here. So with that being said, give me Jaden Daniels, the quarterback here from LSU. He was at the Raiders' final game in that locker room. He's very well tied in with Antonio Pierce. Remember, Antonio Pierce was a part of that Arizona State team where Jaden Daniels first went there before he went to LSU. Jaden Daniels, when he was doing his Heisman Trophy ceremony, gave a shout-out to Antonio Pierce. And if you're going to roll with AP, which is kind of my mindset of what I'm doing right now in this mock, I'm rolling with Jaden, and I'm getting us a franchise quarterback, and all I had to do was swap first and add in a second. Hell freaking yeah, man. So right now, not only can Jaden toss the rock, and not only has he gotten better year in and year out as a passer, I'm looking at his athletic ability, and I can't wait to see what this young man does at the NFL Scouting Combine. But Daniels, as a runner this past year for LSU, 10 rushing touchdowns, over 1,000 rushing yards. I'm not saying that he's Lamar Jackson, but what I am saying is when I watched Lamar when he was at Louisville, and everybody was telling me, Mitch, he's not going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. He's not accurate enough. He's not this. He's not that. When I watched Jaden Daniels, it reminded me of the same notes that I had when I was watching Lamar Jackson, and it's this. The guy's different. Like, the dude's a playmaker, and sometimes we look at too much of, I don't know, measurable this, arm strength that, whatever have you. Jaden Daniels, when he steps onto that field, is a difference maker, and if you can't see that on film, then I simply can't help you out there. So I got Jaden Daniels here at pick number 8. And if you're looking for Raiders mock drafts all season long, man, I got you covered, man. I got you covered. We're going to be doing tons of mock drafts. I'm telling you, I'm going to be doing mock drafts where Raiders actually don't make any trades. I'll do mock drafts where they take Caleb Williams, where they take Drake May, where we trade up to number 1. Mock drafts with Justin Fields at quarterback. Mock drafts with where we take Bo Nix. Like, I'm telling you what, I bet you I do 10, 20 mock drafts this offseason. Why? Because I'm excited for the Raiders to find that franchise quarterback. Let's now go to the next pick here. So obviously, with the Raiders taking Daniels at number 8, we don't have a second-round pick, which means now we're going to be looking in the 3rd round here of this draft, and I'm going to go with Christian Haynes, the offensive guard out of UConn. And the reason why I went this route here is because there's some good interior linemen out there, and based off what I think the Raiders potentially do this offseason, like Greg Van Roten's a free agent, Jermaine Illuminor's a free agent, Andre James is a free agent. If I'm going to invest a lot of money in my quarterback, which I kind of did in Jaden Daniels, I want to make sure that that offensive line is solidified, and based off of where I was at right now in this mock, I had to go with an offensive guard. I thought Haynes was the best one. Played right guard this past season for UConn, 6'3", 305 pounds, 12 games played, 1 sack allowed. I also put a lot more of a heavy concentration on the offensive side of the football because I believe if the Raiders are really, truly smart this year, they're going to do a lot in their power to keep this defensive unit intact, and if they keep that defense intact, then you're going to put a larger concentration on the offensive side of the football, which was the big eyesore for the Las Vegas Raiders this season. So next pick coming up here is round 4, pick 113, and with that pick, I'm going to go with a running back here. I'm going to go with Donovan Edwards, the running back out of Michigan. And I'm just telling you right now, if I go this route here, that's goodbye to Josh Jacobs. We did not keep him. Edwards, to me, is the lightning. Zamir White can be the thunder. Like, Zamir is not a running back that I want to give 250, 300 touches to. No, it's not what I want to do. The way that I would kind of want to run my offense here with Jaden Daniels at quarterback is also kind of very similar to the way like Michigan runs their offense with Edwards and Blake Corum. Like, Zamir White would be my Blake Corum, where if I'm going to give 20 touches out in a game, Zamir's probably going to get 13, and I'll give 7 to Donovan Edwards. I mean, this guy's got elite speed, and I don't care what anybody says. When you watch Donovan Edwards run on a football field compared to when he runs his 40-yard dash, it's going to remind me of like Kyron Williams. When people ripped on Kyron, and people were like, not a good athlete, bad 40-time tester, but some guys are just faster on a football field. To me, you pair a running quarterback like Jaden Daniels, and then you go out, you get a good run-blocking, solid overall offensive line in Haynes, and then you go find yourself a running back that saves you extra money for not going out and paying Jacobs. I think that you have a pretty good duo here for the Las Vegas Raiders. So those right there are my top 3 picks here in this mock draft. But then we got a brand new sponsor here on the Raiders Report. And for the first time ever, I'm hoping you guys can see it. I know it's green. It's a little bit dull here. But man, oh man, I love these guys right here. Mando Italiano, Mando. Use code chat. Go get started. And how many times have you guys heard someone say, new year, new me? Now, how many times have you heard someone say, new year, no stink? That is what Mando is all about. From the makers of Lume Deodorant, Mando is here to make sure 2024 is the year you showcase your best hygiene. If you suffer from stinky feet, pits, or below the belt, then Mondo's doctor-developed and clinically proven odor blocker is worth giving a shot. And new customers can get $5 off with a starter pack at shopmondo.com with promo code chat. You don't want to smell like the smelly guy at work who doesn't believe in deodorant. So ditch that stink and get it with Mando today. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Luckily, I have a discount code to help Raider Nation get hooked up on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code CHAT at shopmando.com. SHOPMANDO.com. Huge shout out to them for sponsoring the Raiders Report. And I'll tell you this right now, when I showed my fiance Alex that we're getting started with Mando, she was literally laughing because the other day we were at this like Botox thing, and the person was like, oh, you should consider getting Botox in your armpit, which sounds horrible, to take away the sweat, because I sweat really, really bad. That's why I usually wear black on the show. I'll tell you what, if you sweat a lot, I'm not just saying this, I put some Mando on the other night when Alex and I did date night. I sweat significantly less. Like if you're the dude that pays extra on like clinical deodorant, I ask you this. Give Mando a try. The link's going to be available to you all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. All right, so right now here is our mock draft. Jaden Daniels, Christian Haynes, Donovan Edwards. So here in round 5 at pick 149, I'm going to go with the cornerback position, and I'm going to go Cam Hart. And I didn't really try to draft based on like overall need here. I know I went 3 players on the offensive side of the football, which is I think the first time I've ever done that on a mock draft covering the Raiders. So I'm going to go with the guy that I think's big. He's physical. And to me, you're going to move on from Brandon Faison this offseason. You're going to save $3.3 million. I would look at Cam Hart as kind of like your Brandon Faison type of replacement where you're not going to have to pay him nearly as much money, but they play kind of a similar type of football where they're bigger, they're more physical, and if you get the right coaching staff in place, I do think with Hart's intangibles and his overall athletic ability, he has an opportunity to potentially be a little bit better. Typically, Notre Dame corners, typically Notre Dame players in general are a little bit more intelligent. It's just what it is. And I would like to be able to pair that with a very smart Raiders team that's been the penalized least in the National Football League with Antonio Pierce. So right there are my 4 picks: Daniels, Hayes, Edwards, Cam Hart. It's time now to get into the later rounds here of this mock draft. Round 6, pick 204. And usually, like, if I'm watching the Raiders pick at this point in the draft, I'm looking for depth. I'm looking for players that might be able to spark. I'm looking for team leaders. And I was really, really excited the fact that I was able to get Michael Barrett here, linebacker out of Michigan. And he's a run stopper. That's exactly what he is. And if he has to play a little bit of special teams, maybe that has to be the piece. But, I mean, you're looking at a solid run stopper on a defense that just won the national championship, and he's a leader. Like, he is one of the leaders of that defense. The fact that I'm able to get him in round 6, you say, hey, you go battle it out with Amari Burney, you go battle it out with, like, Luke Masterson, and you're going to light the hot seat a little bit there with Divine Diablo. So the fact that I was able to get Barrett here in round 6, I really, really like. We still got 3 more picks here in the 7th round, but what's the Raiders' biggest need? Like, the biggest need entering the draft, and I know some of y'all, most of y'all, are probably going to say quarterback, and I agree. Quarterback is the biggest Raiders need this offseason. But what about being an overachiever here? Is there another position? Is there another position, whether it's on the offensive side of the football, whether it's on the defensive side of the football, right? I mean, obviously, depending on what the Silver and Black do in free agency is going to change this conversation come NFL draft time. But as it stands right now, maybe there's a certain player that you love in the draft, right? Like, maybe there's a certain position group that's super, super talented. Like, I know last year, I loved the cornerback room. This year, I love the quarterback room, right? So what is the Raiders' biggest positional need this season? I can't wait to see what you guys have to say. So round 6, 204, we went Michael Barrett, linebacker out of Michigan, which now in round 7 at 220, I actually did a mock draft 2 months ago. I ended up getting this player, so I'm going to go with him again here, and it's going to be Miles Frazier, the offensive guard out of LSU. One of the reasons why I would go with this pick, and it's because if I'm in round 7, I'm not going to sit up here and act like I'm looking for a no doubt, like, you're not going to find a starter a lot of the times in the 7th round. So there's a few reasons why I went this route. Number 1, Frazier has continuity and has played with Jaden Daniels. I'm going to try to make Jaden Daniels' life as easily as humanly possible. And if that means you got to bring in one of your fellow offensive linemen to add a little bit of depth, I'm on board for that. The other reason is this. I know a lot of people from Camden, New Jersey, man. You're from Camden, I promise you this, you're going to be able to be a good fit with the Raiders. Like, you got to have a mean mentality to be from Camden, New Jersey. And at 6'6", 323, Frazier's a strong big boy. He needs to get the footwork down. He needs to get a lot of the technical stuff down. But in the 7th round, I'm willing to take the risk. So, we went Miles Frazier. Next pick here at pick 224. I'm going to go with the defensive tackle out of FAU, Evan Anderson. And at this point in the draft, I was kind of looking for an under-the-radar player that I don't think a lot of people know about. But one of the things that I saw with Evan Anderson, and I had a few notes on him from some of our draft guys here, big boy. He's a big guy in the interior. And I know the Raiders recently, this offseason, signed McCall, who's like he's like 380 pounds. Evan Anderson at 6'3", 356 pounds is a big boy there for the Owls. 58 tackles this past season, 3.5 sacks. And to me, it's kind of the same way for a lot of people that watch this show. I used to always say, I have such faith in Carmen Brasillo that if you're willing to bring in a giant offensive lineman, let's see what happens. I have so much confidence in Rob Leonard that if you give him somebody that's just this big, it's going to light the fire underneath somebody maybe like a Nesta J. Silvera a little bit. To me, this Raiders coaching staff, especially on the defense, they have earned my respect enough where I'm going to give them a big slot of clay, and I'm going to let them do what they want with that clay, and that's what Evan Anderson is, a clay guy. So we got one more pick here in my Raiders mock draft, okay? And I know some of y'all, I'm curious what you guys have to say. A lot of y'all on the West Coast here out of Oregon State. I'm going to go Joshua Gray at offensive tackle at pick 226. And he's a big dude. I know the Raiders have Dalton Wagner, who they like here, but again, with Jermaine Illuminor being a free agent, he is undersized, and that's probably going to be the biggest concern for a lot of y'all. But the other reason why I did this is because I actually don't know if Joshua Gray ends up being a tackle. He could end up being somebody that plays guard if he adds a little bit more weight, because him being undersized, it's going to hurt him in the NFL. But when you watch him, I do think he deserves a lot more credit for, like, he's going to fall in the draft based on size. But he does have some good intangibles, and I think that you're probably going to have to put him at guard. But when you look at the Raiders' offensive line going into this offseason, they need a lot of extra depth. And again, I'm okay building some depth here in the NFL draft. So here one more time is my 2024 mock draft. I traded the Raiders first, so number 13, and pick number 44 to go up and get Jaden Daniels at number 8. I did not want to trade in this mock, but then again, sometimes, you just got to do what you got to do. So overall, this was a very intriguing draft to me. I do realize that I think I actually skipped out on a 5th-round pick, but we might have to break it down on another one as well. Overall, though, I was pretty happy with what I was able to come away from here in this mock. So here's what I did. Based on this mock on the Raiders keeping Antonio Pierce and Patrick Graham, so I did really try to focus on the offensive side of the football. And, yeah, like Raider Nation SMB saying Jermaine and Munford, I hear you. Munford's going to be back. Jermaine Illuminor, he's not. He's a free agent, so I don't necessarily know exactly what's going to happen there. But based on this mock draft, on the Raiders keeping Antonio Pierce and Patrick Graham, that's why I focused a lot on the offensive side of the football. So what I want you guys to do right now is grade my mock A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know what you guys have to say. Curious of this one. Again, I was more worried about Jaden Daniels, and a few things ended up falling down the board in different directions. So let me know what you guys have to say about my mock. All right. I'll probably have to add something into there to that one, just so you know. That was me just trying to go a little bit too fast. RFNL I like it, Mitch. I appreciate that. I will have to add one more player, so just so you guys know, I will have to end up getting another one. Chugs and I were rushing a little bit today, so I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt here a little bit. Let's go to Serge Shy.
Oh, no.
What?
No, you just didn't have him in that last one.
Which one?
You forgot to put Cam Hart.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that I took them all. Yeah. All right. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, I think maybe just for that final graphic, just like crop over it. Okay. Sounds good. Let's go to let's give some shout-outs here. What are the grades? Let me switch my jersey here real quick. Let me put back on Sergio, and then I'll hop back on here and answer some questions.
Dave S. says, who's the GM in this scenario? Mitch, because he was the one making all the picks. A lot of A's. Got a C, a B. Rebel. Yeah, that was just a graphical error. He did make the 5th-round pick. It was cornerback Cam Hart out of Notre Dame. I'll add that in. Little post magic. But yeah, he did make all the picks. We didn't just skip a pick, give it back to the NFL.
Yeah, that's I was like, I can't believe I would have done that. And then all of a sudden, as soon as you said Cam Hart, I was like, oh, all right, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
All good. So I think, yeah, Chugs will get it. I fire McDaniels immediately, no doubt. Millard Harris says B. Again, like when I look at my mock, I was really happy that I was able to get Jaden Daniels, but I didn't love some of the players that were there at the end, and this is me just not doing as much draft homework yet. Like, that's just me being honest with you. Like, we'll do a lot more draft homework as it goes on and on and on. However, though, I went with depth at the back half there. So, do you want the Raiders to bring back Josh Jacobs? Type B for bring back, or I want you to type L for letting him walk. The way too early mock draft 1.0. Heck, my first mock draft, Jesse, that was about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago at this point. It's about a month ago. What do you guys think here? Do we let him walk, or do we bring him back? B if it's cheap from Jesse. Zalesbo says let him go. Abby, bring him back. I mean, a lot of L's, which I'm pretty surprised by. I know how much the fans like Jacobs, and I think the smart thing to do is to let Jacobs go. I think it's a smart thing to do. I know he's a great running back, but again, we have other bigger needs. However, though, if you get Jacobs back on a deal that's $7 million or less, I think you have to consider it. I don't know if you're going to get a deal like that, but to me, I would rather you pay A.J. Dillon $5 million a year compared to you giving Jacobs 10, like based off of where the Raiders are currently at. So just something to think. Just something to think about.
Just something to think.
Okay, let me see here. A few super chats. I see one from Sir Chai. I hate how Madden doesn't update coaching changes.
I answered that while you were putting it in here.
Okay.
Yeah, it blows.
Well,
McDaniel's still the head coach for the Raiders on Madden.
That's weird. I'm actually surprised that they've never been able to switch that up.
Well, Madden also is a bunch of little bees, and they have a couple.
Belichick's not even in the game, so.
Well, that's him.
Mm-hmm.
He denies them the rights to his name and likeness, which is wild that he can do that in an NFL game. But they also have a glitch that they haven't fixed. If you're watching this, EA, you're a bunch of hoes because you haven't fixed it in franchise mode on Madden 24. When you're in the playoffs, it switches all your guys around to where all your backups are in the game. No matter what you do. You change the depth chart, you change whatever. Whenever you play playoff games, and I looked it up, there's like 30 people on Reddit who are all like, yeah, we don't know how to fix this.
Really?
Yes. And if you have Madden 24, if you play franchise mode, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Whenever you get into the playoffs, all of your backups are in the game. Manny knows, King knows.
I mean, I don't play, but I don't know if I've ever seen you that fired up.
Dude, it pisses me off. They haven't fixed it. There's been no update. There's not any trying to be like, my bad, it's fixed.
King says you ain't lying. I mean, that's brutal, then.
Imagine we, send out something like a Raiders t-shirt and it's totally messed up and we're just like,
yeah, hey, I
sucks.
Get it. Sorry. Somebody said, can you trade comp picks? Yeah, you can trade any pick. Once it's yours, you can trade it. It's just usually comp picks aren't the picks that get traded because if you're an NFL team, you want, I guess I should say, usually teams just try to trade, the regular picks. and then they fall back on the comps because the comps are at times unknown. But yes, you could trade a comp pick. John, if we do land Daniels and Edwards, it equals an A++. I mean, if the Raiders come away, I'm telling you this right now, if the Raiders are able to get a quarterback like Jaden Daniels and all you have to do is swap first and you trade it for a second, I mean, that's a massive win. And again, I did not plan on doing trades. I literally sat down today with some of the guys here in the office, and I'm like, it's so hard to do a Raiders mock draft right now because if you just do a regular Raiders mock draft without trades, you're like, do you draft a quarterback? Do you, like what exactly do you do? Because the quarterback position is such a big unknown, and I want the Raiders to draft a quarterback so bad that once it fell to me, I had to take advantage of it, man. Nico, Chugs, you have to disable progressive fatigue.
I'll try this. I'll see if that works.
You're definitely curious.
Either way, I shouldn't have to fix your game. You fix your game.
You're not wrong.
EA. And where's NCAA? Where is it at? You pieces of shit.
I'll tell you what. Good news, though, is this year we will be doing Madden simulations again. So that's some good news. We're going to have fun doing that. Heck, we've even been flirting with the idea, and, hear me out on this. Would you guys, watch if, Chugs and I just played Madden? Like, if I played against Jeremy on Madden, if we just, went live randomly, we don't have Thursday Night Football in the off season. So if we're like, you know what, guys, today, me, Jeremy, playing against each other on Madden or something like that. And we'll go live just like this, and you'll watch the live game kind of like what we did before.
EA is quickly turning into Kim Jong-un. They're one of the worst organizations in the world.
We're going to have to cut your mic. Somebody go get Tex. He's more reliable on the mic right now.
It pisses me off. Dude. We've been waiting for NCAA for years. Madden comes out, and you just shit on our chests. What an awful, awful job by EA.
Will you poop on me? Name that movie. All right, here's some people that are in a duck race.
Movie 43.
It's one of my favorite movies. I'll tell you this right now. For anybody out there that, let's just say you like a good laugh. Let's say you like to get into some other extracurriculars, and you want to have a good laugh. Random movie 43. It's a dumb comedy, but it's freaking hilarious. All right, here's some people that are in our duck race. Rob Fravor, you're in twice. Luis Rod, always a guarantee. Brian Folsom, in twice. Brian, I'm going to put Brian Folsom, and then I'm going to put Brain Folsom, just so we can tell the difference. Zay Hernandez, you in. And then Stanley King, you in. Oh, RNFL in. RNFL number 2, you in. So as it stands right now, $10 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365, you would have the opportunity to win $45. 10 to get in, you'd win 45.
You in?
Nico Laz, been kind of shadow banned recently.
It is one of our hosts' birthday today.
Ray Sauce, in. Should we put Petey in? Petey, you want in? You want a spot?
All right, Petey says yes, he wants in.
All right, Petey, he's going to go in.
We're putting Petey all the way in.
Petey, you in. Then Scott Eckert, in. I got the Great Tuna, you in. Giovanni Tejada, in. So this puts us up to 15 names, which means you would win $75. Next name that I just saw, Justin Gilbert, twice. I'm going to put one as Justin Gilbert, and then I'm going to put the other one as Gilbert Justin. And then Jose Ramirez, and then Ramirez Jose. So we are up now to $95 to the winner. 95 to the winner. We will do this duck race at the end of today's show. So you'll have a few more opportunities to get in if you're not in already. I just want to confirm that I am. Brandon has no confidence. He said, here's just for the donation. I'm going to lose. Come on, Tuna. A little more faith. A little more faith. Uh-oh. Is that who I think it is? I love EA Sports. In. Perfect. I'll let you guess who that is. I love EA Sports. And so right now the winner would get $100.
It's such a love-hate, though, because I know once NCAA does come out, I'm going to cherish that game more than anything itself.
Wow.
Besides my family, loved ones, friends, and everything that's real.
In Michigan football.
And Michigan football.
Jesse Zieg, you in?
Last night was the best night of my life.
Dude, some would say. Some might say.
I want Save the Kid's life. Last night was better than that.
He didn't even need mouth-to-mouth, but I gave it to him anyway.
If I could stop the Titanic from sinking or have Michigan win last night, Michigan.
Wow. That's this is going to go down to a really dark path right now. Really, really dark path.
We actually have
here.
a super chat coming in.
Thank God.
Jesse.
What's up, Jesse? Reminds me of letting Rashad Jennings walk to the Giants and Rashad Jennings in 2014. McFadden was injury prone, but fans loved him. JJ should take $7 to $10 million to stay. If it's not, it's Zeus time, baby. I mean, again, I'm not willing to give Josh Jacobs $8, $9, $10 million. Like, even though Jacobs is a hell of a running back, and I get it, he is a hell of a running back. This year proved that if you don't have the right pieces around you, I don't care who you are at running back, you're not going to be successful. Like,
Nope.
you disagree?
You're not going to be successful.
Oh, and I think a lot of times, like running quarterbacks, they make running backs better. So if you add a mobile quarterback like a Jaden Daniels, then I actually think that it's even less important for you to bring back a top running back like Jacobs. And like, look at a lot of the good teams in the NFL. They go running back by committee for a reason. It can be a lot more efficient. Jacobs is great, but I do think what he did this past season wasn't worth $10 million. What he did this past season was probably around what you could pay us $6-7 million for a running back. Hell, I mean, honestly, like a guy like Austin Eckler, right? I'd rather pay Austin Eckler $7-8 million because he can catch the football and he can be the lightning to Zamir White's thunder. Like, Josh Jacobs and Zamir are a lot closer of the same style of running back. Jacobs is much better, but they're still the same style. Like, if I'm going to spend money on another running back after seeing what Zamir White can do, I'm looking for a Donovan Edwards, a running back in the draft, or somebody in free agency that I think is going to be a really, really good change of pace back, not Amir Abdullah, right? I don't want third and Abdullah. I'm kind of good on that. Football kids, what's up, man? Anthony Parks, Mitch, why can't we keep the GM we got now? You can. You just have to hire other candidates, or you have to interview other candidates. It's still part of the rule. But one of the things like you have to look at also is if the Raiders move on from Champ Kelly. Now, if you're the Raiders right now, and I get it, I like Champ Kelly, did a good job. But there's also a lot of good candidates out there. I think Trey Brown's a great candidate. I think Adam Peters is a great candidate. I think Ed Dodds is a great candidate. Yeah. And if you're able to get one of those dudes, and if Champ Kelly goes elsewhere, you get 2 third-round picks. Sure, they're comp picks. They're after 100, but I'll take those picks. If I'm trying to build for the future, oh yeah, I will take those picks. At Finesse Lounge 14, Mitch, is there a scenario where the Raiders keep AP and hire Jim Harbaugh? I don't want to say no because there's things that have happened before that the Raiders have done that I just can't wrap my mind around. 1% chance of it happening? Like,
maybe
1% chance. I don't know, though, why Jim Harbaugh would want to keep Antonio Pierce. Jeremy gave the analogy before, which is the right analogy, and it's the girlfriend analogy.
Would you ever ask your girlfriend if your ex can come out on a date with y'all?
If you're yes to that.
Allie, would you be cool with that? if your boyfriend was just like, hey, do you mind if our ex tag or if my ex tags along? No? Yeah. No.
All right, totally random, and I'm probably going to get laughed at for this a little bit. So last night when I came home obviously pretty late because we were live for the Natty.
You asked if your ex could come over.
Not quite. Alex goes, I'm glad you're home. I want to watch something with you. So I was like, all right, like, what are we going to watch? So we watched The Golden Bachelor this past year, which I know some people are probably going to laugh at me for the whole, like, Bachelor thing. The Golden Bachelor is a must-watch because it's, like, such, like, a heartfelt thing. Anyway, though.
You get to see old people.
Oh, dude. I mean, I'll tell you this right now. My dad, he's 60.
Is he going out for the next golden? Oh no, he's already.
He's got a girlfriend, and he's the happiest he's been that I've ever seen him. Right, and watching this Golden Bachelor, it's like old people finding love. It's a beautiful thing. Like, I cried more watching the Golden Bachelor than I have in a long time. Anyway, though, they did live wedding, right, and all the people that he turned down were at the wedding. So I was laughing. I was like, imagine if the 20 people that you said no to, you're like, hey, come to the wedding. I mean, it's kind of a crazy con. It was I hated it, but that's what it made me think of.
Did the woman who you wanted to win?
Yes. Actually, yes.
Really?
Predicted it right off the jump. I got it right, which I've never gotten. Yep.
Sheesh, calling Papa Riz.
Hey, Papa Riz, I love it. Mitch, a big old softy, confirm. Yes, I can prove it too. All right, coming up next here on the Raiders Report, let's get into some news and rumors. And we're going to get into some conversation around Josh Jacobs. We're going to get into some GM news. And then after that, I'm going to have to move on here a little bit. King Zay, Mitchie Poo, one of my best men at my wedding, catcher on my baseball team. That was his nickname for me, Mitchie Poo. Coming up, though, we're going to get into Davante Adams talk.
He's the catcher on your baseball team, huh?
Catcher on my baseball team. Yep, one of my best men. It's not what you're thinking over there, EA. But
I'm not. I didn't say anything.
I know. You're going to have to relax over there. Raiders Report with Mitchell Renz and Texas starting to sound better. I wouldn't do that to you guys. Coming up here, we're going to get some GM news. Jacobs, Davante, and then the latest on Jim Harbaugh after that. Then we will get in to, what are you looking at? Then we will
I'm
get
just
in.
ready to start the segment whenever you are, man.
Then we will get into our duck race, which I got to add a few more names to that. As always, if you want to get those questions, comments in, hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. But right now, let's get into the latest here going on around Silver and Black PrizePicks. Cool? Sounds good. Let's get it going. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Coming up here on today's show, let's get into the latest around the general manager news because there is another candidate that the Raiders have requested to interview. Josh Jacobs, is he going to be returning to the Las Vegas Raiders? For people that say yes, well, actually, I kind of got some good news for you. Davante Adams trade rumors are heating up. Find out what Tay did and then did something else. And then the latest here on Jim Harbaugh after the Michigan Wolverines won the Natty. So for those of you that do not follow me on social media, you always should. At Mitchell Renz 365, Ian Rappaport put this out, and I already gave my 2 cents on it on social media a few hours ago. But former Chargers general manager Tom Telesco, who presided over one of the most talented rosters for about a decade, will interview for the vacant Raiders GM job. So with this happening here, I'm going to tell you right now, I think what Mark Davis and the Raiders have done in terms of the names that they have brought in already for their general manager interviews have done a good job. Tom Telesco, I do not think would be a very good hire if the Raiders decided to go this route. I think he was a disaster in a lot of areas of building. I know what Ian Rappaport said in terms of a talented roster, but this was a roster that just always underperformed, in my opinion. So as it stands right now, here are the 6 confirmed names that the Raiders have requested to interview, and you're obviously going to be able to interview Champ Kelly on top of that. But it's Champ Kelly, the interim general manager for the Raiders, Trey Brown, senior personnel executive for the Bengals, Terrence Gray, director of player personnel for the Bills, Ed Dodds, assistant GM for the Colts, Adam Peters, assistant GM for the 49ers, and then Tom Telesco, former GM of the Los Angeles Chargers. To stay up to date on everything going on around general manager news around the Raiders, subscribe For updates on head coach, subscribe. If you're looking for free Raiders videos every single day, take a second, hit that subscribe button. And what I always tell people is this: it's free to subscribe. I know when some people hear subscribe, they think it's got to be paid. No, watch the show, watch it for a week. If you don't like it, click on sub. Live shows multiple times a week, the entire offseason. We're also going to have a lot of fun here. All right, let's talk a little bit about Josh Jacobs, who missed the last 4 games of the season with a quad injury. Going to be a free agent this offseason. And if Antonio Pierce gets the job, I definitely think that there's a chance that he ends up returning. And, for a lot of people that watch this show, you've heard my opinion on Jacobs a lot, and I've always said good running back. But where the Raiders are at right now, personally, if I was the one running the organization, I would move on from JJ. With that being said, though, if the Raiders do end up bringing back Antonio Pierce, I would imagine that they're going to listen to AP very, very often. And, if AP says what he did, and for those of you that maybe missed the quote that Pierce said about Josh Jacobs, for you to say this, that Jacobs is the heartbeat of this team, the heart and soul. When I hear something like that, and you know how close this group is, right? This is a very, very close Raiders locker room. And the reason is when you deal with somebody like McDaniels, you move on from him and have more success without him, it's going to bring you close. On top of that, Antonio Pierce listens to Josh Jacobs. Jacobs, I know for a fact, was very frustrated with McDaniels, very frustrated with that pass regime because they never listened to him. Now, then again, they never really listened to anybody. For them to ignore Davante, Crosby, Jacobs, as often as what they did this past offseason, just kind of shows the type of God complex that McDaniels had. But for Antonio Pierce to say that he's the heartbeat of this team and the heart and soul, it makes me wonder, is he going to be back? So knowing that AP said that about Jacobs, should the Raiders bring back number 8? Type B for bring back, type L for let walk. They did try to franchise tag him. They ended up getting a 1-year deal done last year, so you can tag him again. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. Scroll on down and give me your answer. The only way that I'm going to be willing to bring back Jacobs is if he's willing to take a team-friendly deal, and at that point, I'm saying $7 million is the absolute most I am willing to pay him on a yearly basis. My number that I've been throwing out there is 3 years, $21 million, 14 of that guaranteed, and then I can move on from the second year. Jacobs, so I think, is going to want to try to get more, and if that's the route, I'm okay with it. I'm not going to do everything in my power to bring back Jacobs. I want him back on a team-friendly deal, and if he wants more, let him go out and try to find more. I think Zamir White has shown that he's a capable running back. There's good running backs in the draft. There's some good free agent backs out there that I could add a little bit of lightning to Zamir White's thunder. Coming up here, Davante Adams trade rumors. And I feel like every single time I say Davante Adams trade rumors, there's going to be a lot of people out there that roll their eyes, which I get it. I kind of rolled my eyes at first at this too. But then when you see, again, I'm a big believer that actions speak louder than words. Do you agree with that? If you're a believer that actions speak louder than words, well then what Davante Adams did on social media is definitely an action that deserves some words, and I'll tell you what they are coming up here in just a second. But today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. $100 deposit match when you go to PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Just make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. And even though there's no more Raiders football, to me this is the best time of the year to put down some money on playoff games when players are going to be going out there giving it their all. So if you're not doing anything on Saturday, hey, put your money where your mouth is. If you're not doing anything on Sunday, put your money where your mouth is. If you're not doing anything on Monday night, put your money where your mouth is. And you could do something as simple as putting down $10, have a chance to win some money. 3 hours, you're totally occupied. It's super easy, simple to do. If my dad can do it, I promise you, you're going to be able to do it. All you got to do is pick 2 players. There's a reason why PrizePicks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app out there right now. It is fantasy sports made easy. You just select more or less. And if anybody out there wants to get started, go to PrizePicks.com/CLNS and make sure that you use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Now, Chugs and I, as the season goes on here in the playoffs, we will be giving you our picks for all the games. So stay tuned. We'll be giving you some picks coming up later on in the week. All right, so the reason why we're talking about Davante Adams trade rumors and the reason why they are heating up here a little bit is because of this. So Garrett Wilson and Morstead, the punter for the Jets, posted a picture on social media. Morstead essentially said that he's going to be giving up number 5 and he's going to give it to Garrett Wilson. And the reason why this is notable is because Garrett Wilson was number 17 on the New York Jets, a team that has been rumored linked to going out and trading for Davante Adams, Aaron Rodgers, Adams. Guess what? Adams wears number 17. So with this being said, that means number 17 for the New York Jets is available. Actions speak louder than words, yes? Davante Adams then liked this tweet, liked the photo of essentially it saying number 17 is available. When that happens, obviously everybody starts freaking out of, oh man, the Las Vegas Raiders, Davante, he wants to get dealt to the New York Jets. I see it. I saw it. It's all good. But then also, if you look now at Davante Adams' social media account, Twitter, he has since unliked this post. And he probably, just like a normal human being, which I get sometimes might be hard for people to be able to wrap their mind around, where I bet he saw that and was like, oh, that's really cool. I like that. Click like. What a lot of people see is, oh, number 17's freed up. Davante wants to go to the Jets. I think the fact that he has since unliked it kind of explains the volumes of where he wants to be. Don't get me wrong. If the New York Jets make you a trade offer, you're going to have to listen to it. But I'm not sitting up here saying Davante wants to get traded because I don't think that's the case at all. If you do end up trying to trade Tay, I want 2 first-round picks since his 2024 salary has already been paid. So when the Raiders originally traded a first and a second for Adams, they gave him a 5-year contract at $140 million. They did give him an out clause after 3 seasons, which technically this would be the 3rd season here with the Las Vegas Raiders. But the other thing is they restructured his contract once already, and they have already guaranteed his 2024 salary. So Adams has actually already been paid that 2024 salary. So whatever team goes out and they trade for him, it's already a done deal. Like, they don't have to pay him anything because the Raiders have already paid that 2024 deal. Now, if AP gets the job, I would be shocked if Adams gets dealt. Like, how are you going to keep Antonio Pierce and then you're going to trade away a receiver that stood up into the podium and said, this is the guy that I want back? Like, I don't see that being a possibility. If Antonio Pierce is the Raiders head coach this upcoming season, I can't forecast an area where they decide to trade away Davante Adams. However, though, if you hire a guy like Jim Harbaugh or you hire somebody else not named Antonio Pierce, then anything is on the table. In fact, the only player that the Raiders will not trade away is Max Crosby. Any other player is a trade possibility. Like, that's just a cold, hard fact. I will say this, though. If Davante Adams does end up getting dealt, which it's not an impossible thing to think about. It's not. And if you are the Raiders, you got to know that this is the year that you're going to get the absolute most value out of Davante, because after this season, after 2024, his salary cap's at $44.1 million in 2025 and in 2026. My point is this. There's going to be a lot of Davante Adams trade rumors out there. We're going to continue to talk about him here on the show. It's part of the gig, right? But if you do end up trading away 17, you better get your franchise quarterback, because if it's not, it's a failure. So would you trade Davante Adams to get a franchise quarterback? Type T for trade or type P for pass. And here's your opportunity to be the GM. And as Chug said, the job is open. To me, I would trade Davante Adams if it meant that I could get a franchise quarterback. And when I say franchise quarterback, there are 3 names: Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. To me, those are the only 3 franchise quarterbacks in the 2024 NFL Draft. I don't view Bo Nix that. I don't view Michael Penix that. I do not view J.J. McCarthy as a franchise guy. To me, a franchise QB is the moment he steps on that field, he's a game changer and has top 10 quarterback upside. Drake May, to me, is the number 1 quarterback in this year's draft. Then it's Caleb. Then it's Jaden. If I can move on from Davante and get one of these guys for a good deal, I would do it. I don't want to do it, but it would be a last-case scenario. It would be a break glass in case of emergency, trade Davante to get a franchise guy. Obviously, if I have a quarterback like that, I would want him to have Davante, but I do think finding a franchise QB is detrimental to the Raiders this season. For more programming schedules around the Raiders Report, maybe you're wondering, Mitch, when are you guys going to go live again? I'm going to be live on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm also going to be live an hour before kickoff of Chiefs versus Dolphins. So we're going to be rooting against Kansas City. We're going to be spamming those FKCs like crazy, and every single playoff game that the Chiefs play, hopefully it's only one, I will be live for. Then, as the playoffs continue to roll, I'm going to be rooting against the Niners every single week, so tune in with me for that. I'm going to be rooting against the Chiefs every single week. If both of those teams are gone, well, then I might have to migrate to a few other teams. But bottom line is, Chugs and I are going to be live for the Super Bowl. We're going to be live for the NFC Championship game, the AFC Championship game, and in the meantime, we're going to be rooting against Kansas City. So hopefully you guys tune in and hopefully we take down Kansas City. All right, let's get in now to the latest here around Jim Harbaugh. And there hasn't been an update as of today. And if you didn't watch the game last night with Jeremy and I, Michigan in a total beatdown on Washington, 34-13 to win the CFP National Championship. Harbaugh, it's been reported by multiple sources out there that he is expected to be heading to the NFL, and there's going to be multiple teams that are interested. I know the Raiders are interested. The Raiders have been talking to Harbaugh for about a month now. They've been having backdoor communications, and there's a lot of connections there. Here's the thing, though. The Chargers, they're going to be interested. The Bears, they're going to be interested. Any team that's got an NFL head coaching opening, hell, the Tennessee Titans, they just fired Mike Vrabel. They're going to be interested in Harbaugh. Why? He's one of the best coaches, if not the best coach available right now to be a head coach in the National Football League. So do you want the Raiders to hire Harbaugh? He just won a natty. What do you think? He's won everywhere he's gone. He's won at San Diego, the college. He's won at Stanford. He's won with the Niners. He just won a national championship with the Michigan Wolverines. Do you want the Raiders to hire Jim Harbaugh? Yes or no? I got to know what you guys have to say. For me, I want Antonio Pierce to get the job. I really do. But I look at it as Antonio Pierce and Patrick Graham are a joint deal. Patrick Graham, AP, over Jim Harbaugh. If it's just AP or Jim Harbaugh, I will take Jim Harbaugh over just Antonio Pierce. If you don't get AP and you don't get Jim Harbaugh, the next guy that you got to consider to be your head coach, I'm serious, is Patrick Graham. And then after that, there's some other candidates that obviously you can interview. There's a lot of good coaching candidates in this year's cycle. A guy like a Frank Smith, maybe a guy like a Ben Johnson is another name. Dan Quinn deserves to be looked at. A lot of good head coaches out there for the Raiders, but right now it's a two-man race between Antonio Pierce and Jim Harbaugh. If we get a $20, actually, you know what? If we bang right now, I'll do what Jeremy was just doing. I swear to God, I'll get close too, because all you could see was his face. So as I'm finishing up that segment, Jeremy's doing something on screen. If we bang right now, I'll do it. It's up to you. You get added to our January bang race competition. Do you want the Raiders to hire Jim Harbaugh? Or better this, you got to do it. If we get a hundo, I want you to do exactly what you just did to me. I do. I'm serious. I will say, if anybody's wearing gray sweatpants, change now. You're just gonna ruin them. You're going to ruin them.
I'll take the tuna.
Pause. Yeah, Robert Jansen's already got it. Raider Nation SMB says 50 a bang or 100? 100's a bang. 100's a bang. All right, I think we saw a Spivey super chat. I think we got a few super chats to get to. Is that right or no?
Yep, we do.
I think we see Brandon's.
Brandon's is next.
And then a Spivey. Honestly, what can we get for JJ?
Nothing.
I mean, Jacobs is a free agent, Brandon.
Free agent.
Yeah, he's a free agent. Now, you could franchise tag him again like you did last year and hope that a team trades 2 first-round picks. That ain't going to happen. I mean, if you franchise tag Jacobs, you're going to get into the exact same situation you did last year. He's going to sit out. He's not going to be there, and I don't want that. I do not want the Raiders to tag Jacobs. I don't think it's a smart move at all. I really, really don't, man. I really don't. Oh, you said give. I meant money-wise. Again, I'm looking. I would say for the Raiders, 3 years, $21 million with $14 million guaranteed. So basically, he's going to get his first 2 years fully guaranteed. There might be NFL teams out there that are willing to pay Jacobs more. I just don't think that the Raiders should be one of those teams. You got to be a Super Bowl caliber team that's a running back away to pay Jacobs the type of money that he wants to get. I would rather the Raiders draft a Blake Corum and pay Blake Corum. He's going to make what? He'd make $2 million this year? I think what you could get Blake Corum for 4 years is what you're going to have to pay Jacobs for 1. And a lot of whatever running back you want to take in the top 3 rounds, You get them for 4 years compared to probably what you have to pay Jacobs for 1 year. I'm going to go with the young running back. A Spivey.
Mine's telling me no,
But my body.
body's telling me yeah.
My heart says AP. My head says Jim Harbaugh, fan since 1968. And all I want is to just win, baby. I am a new Raider fan, A Spivey, but I promise you this, I do this show every day because I want the Raiders to just win, baby, as well, and hopefully you all see that commitment to excellence. Let me know down below, how many years have you been a Raiders fan? We'll give some shout-outs, and then it's your final opportunity to get in our 50-50 raffle. Can we trade Marsh for a taco and a coupon to Del Taco?
Why wouldn't you just want 2 tacos?
A coupon to Del Taco.
1 taco and then a coupon for 1 taco. just get 2 tacos.
This is a Sergio Orozco. Yep. Sergio, if you're out there, I hope you're all right, my man. I miss you. We got 42 from Zalesbo since 1993 from Sucker Free Raider. Manny, 1966. That's what's up. Sean, 37 years. Zalesbo, 42. Robert Jansen, 46 years. Modelo time since 1991. All right, y'all. Final call. I am going to refresh my phone. Okay? I'm going to refresh it now. I'm going to write down the names. By the time I write down all the names, send them to Jeremy, I will refresh my phone one more time. So essentially, I'm going to say, you got 60 seconds to get in. 60 seconds to get in our duck race. The last name that I gave a shout out to was Jesse Zieg, which means Rustin Long, in. Alec Potter, in. Johnny Cat, in. Wow, what a name this is. Godzilla, in twice.
Godzilla.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. A Godzilla Raiders jersey would go hard. Oh, boy. Ryan Campbell, you in. And then Kobe Carson, you in. But you know what's great about this show, Chugs?
Yeah.
Sometimes things happen, and I'm glad it did. And I can't wait to show everybody what you did. You guys ready? Can you guys give a huge shout out to somebody because they did something? I kind of forgot about it for a second because we didn't get it on.
Are you sure he doesn't want just a ton of spots?
I'm pretty sure he does. Considering the fact that it says, do it. This one's rolling in from Ryan Campbell. Bang! All right, you got to do it good, though. You got to actually do it. Don't give me no BS. I'm talking, give it to me. Let's go.
You can't say give it to me and then ask me to
That's
do
the
that.
point. If you want, I could stand right behind your camera if that helps you out. All right, and this was going on for a solid 10 seconds. Dude, somebody crop that. Somebody crop that up. All right, next deal. If we get another one hundo, you got to do that full screen.
Oh.
If we get another one hundo, you got to do that full screen. So again, I'm up here trying to wrap up my segment, and Jeremy's over there trying to wrap up something else. I don't even know what that was. You know what it made me think of, and the reason why I almost started laughing was, I'm a snake. A slippery little snake.
I'm a snake.
You guys ever seen I'm a Snake? If you haven't, it's definitely worth a look at. That was a crazy sight from our end. Yeah, I hear you.
Petey, are you ready for the race?
You have an opportunity to win some money.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds good to me. That sounds good.
All right, here we go. Let me see real quick here. Last name I got in was Kobe Carson, which means the final name is Ryan Bass. That is it. No more are in. Anything else that comes in from here on out, that is a donation to Chuck's fund.
I'm taking that, Mitch, as my my fund
What?
that we talked about earlier.
Oh, yeah. It's a good one. I'm in. I'm in. I can't even believe that. That was hilarious. Wes, I just confirmed your friendship on Venmo, so you're good. Next time, Wes. Next time. All right, y'all. We got 30 people in
If
this.
he does it right now.
Wes, all right, if you send it in right now, we'll let it in. Giggity. So 30 people, which means 150 to the winner. 150 to the winner. Cool. All right, so the winner of this race. Too much Mando in one place. Hey, Mando. Here we go. Winner gets 100.
All right, Petey, you want to come see it?
Actually, Jeremy, that's a lie. Winner gets $155. Because Wes, you in.
Let's do it, Wes.
Wes, you in. Oh, dude, dog race, elite. I think dog race is one of the best ones.
All right. Petey, you got a chance to win 155 on your birthday.
Petey's birthday's today.
He can't even bother with watching the race.
He's nervous. He's in shambles. He's in shambles. All right, here we go. Winner gets $155. Y'all ready? Here we go. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's get it going. If you look like Chuck, I'm going to root for you. Luis Rodriguez is blowing his entire load. Right now, I think Godzilla's got a good shot. Tuna out to an early lead. Down there at the bottom, Justin Gilbert in an interesting spot there. Stanley King. I don't know where. Oh, pulling up here is I Love EA Sports. Right now at the lead is Petey. Petey on his birthday has got the lead, but watch out for Ramirez. Watch out for Ramirez, Jose. Brian Folsom there at the very top. Petey starting to fall back here a little bit. Now up here is Giovanni Tejada. Just by a nose with the lead. Winner gets $155. Right now in very first place is I Love EA Sports. Followed in second place is Petey. Then Zay Hernandez. I Love EA Sports starting to fall back here a little bit. Petey still in the lead. 13 seconds to go. Now I want to say Anthony Green by a nose. 9 seconds to go. This is going to come down to the wire, as some would say. Ray Sauce with the lead. Jose Ramirez by a nose. Is it going to be Justin Gilbert? It is. What a win by Justin Gilbert. What happened to I Love EA? Because that dog. Justin Gilbert with the win. Ramirez Jose in second. I Love EA in 20th. Who came in last? Godzilla. East Godzilla. Congratulations to Justin. Who? I think, who started? Did Justin start in the lead that quick? Or no, was that Luis? I think it was Luis. All right, so Justin, I always like to see. So this is Justin's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 races, and now he's a winner. Congratulations, Justin Gilbert. Oh, wait, Justin, I actually almost sent you the wrong amount. 150. And then I added a 5. 1,500. Justin's like, I'll do it. I'll take it. Dog race from Justin. People want one more. That's what I'm hearing. All right, if you want one more, $20 Venmo race. $20 Venmo race if you want one more. And then I got a skedaddle. Raider Nation for Life says, is there frogs you can choose? Luis, I mean, we could. RN4L says, can we do one more? I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes. 2 minutes for one more. And then once we get the names, we'll put them in and we'll get it going. One more duck race here. I'm going to refresh my phone. So far, no contenders. 1 minute to get in. And if nobody wants it, it's all good. Is there a bass fish one from Ryan Bass? That would be kind of electric. I'm not going to lie. Would be pretty freaking electric. All right. Ryan Campbell wants one more race. So, Ryan Campbell, 3. Sounds good. I'm going to say Ryan Campbell, Ryan. So, we already got 3 entries in this one. Let me see this next name here is Luis Rod in. RNFL in. And then It's Godzilla in. Jesse Z in. Salvador Mena in. The Great Tuna you in. So right now as it stands, Anthony Green in. If my math is correct. Brandon, I don't know what your winning percentage is. I don't know if you want to know. Ryan Bass in. So that means right now 20 to win, $111. We got Reed, you in. Reed Peters. Petey, you know who that is? Michael Banks. With a last name like Banks, that's pretty dope. You're looking at me weird. Did you get in again? Oh, yeah. Chugs is in. Anthony. All right, so Anthony Parks. Anthony, you got to send another 15 if you want in. You sent me 5. If not, I can send it back to you. Justin Gilbert in. Let me see. We could put Petey in again. All right, we'll put Petey in again. F it. In Adriano Martinez in. Justin Gilbert, I got. Petey, I got. Michael Banks, Ryan Bass, Anthony Green. To the Jasper, Godzilla. Eats a Godzilla. I saw somebody just request 20 from me, and then they just deleted it. So I didn't see who it was quick enough. So if that was you, let me know. But right now I got 17 people in. Ryan Campbell in 3 times. Luis Rodriguez, RNFL, Godzilla, Jesse Z, Salvador Mena, Tuna, Anthony Green, Ryan Bass, Reed Peters, Michael Banks, Chugs, Justin Gilbert, Petey, Adriano Martinez. Final refresh. I don't see anyone else, so this is the race that we are going to go with here. Here we go. 17 in. 17 people are in. Good luck to everybody. Good luck to all y'all. OC. OC, is your IG OC Raider? Because sometimes y'all got your real name. I don't know. OC, what's your IG name? I'll try to find it there. Adriano. Okay. Yeah, guys, I'm not gonna. Hey, no, I'm saying he's asking me about a jersey. OC, I'll yeah, message me on Venmo, but I can also try to find you on IG. It's let me see. I will. Where's my Venmo? Okay. I'm not gonna lie, my phone can't even load right now. Jose Ramirez. Yeah, it was Jose. You're the one that asked for $20. So if you want in, Jose, you got to send me 20. I'm not gonna pay you. So just think about that. Unless you're saying, are you in right now? You were in twice on the last race. You're not in this race. Johnny Cat is in. Johnny Cat is in. So now winner gets 180. Sound good? Raider J says, I sent your money. Which one, Raider J, which one are you? That's all the names that I got right now. Raider J, Jose Ramirez, I don't have you in yet, man. You have not, I mean, you entered that last race, but you're not in this one, is what I'm saying. And now you're in. Okay. Jose Ramirez in. That's 19. I think we're good. Oh, boy. Norma. What's up, Norma? Wait, Scott Eckert, last one. John Polito. All right, that's the last one after that. John Polito in. Yeah, that's exactly it. Are these hearts? Little Valentine's Day action. Okay, so how many people was in this one? Can you give me the exact number again? 21. All right, winner gets $210. Good luck to all y'all out there in this race here. Norma, thank you so much for first time super. Greatly appreciated supporting the Raiders Report. Yeah, we're going hearts, man. You ready? You ready? Starting at 3, 2, 1. Let's get it going here. Winner gets $210. Ryan Campbell out to an early lead, followed up by Ryan Campbell, followed up by Adriano Martinez, followed up by Ryan Campbell. Watch out for Choke starting to creep up a little bit. Watch out for Choke starting to creep up here a little bit. The Great Tuna right behind Chugs. Up there at the very, very top, Adriano Martinez. Now Cat's starting to get an interesting spot. I agree. I do think Chugs blew his load a little bit early. Menya up there is definitely a sneaky, sneaky name to think about in terms of this race. Also, I think Mr. Peters down there, RNFNL, really like where he's at, starting to creep up here. 16 seconds to go. Winner's going to get $210. They're starting to fall back here. It's Gilbert. Watch out for Salvador Menya. Starting to pull up here. Justin Gilbert. Petey! Petey! It's with the win! With the win! Congratulations. Wow. I mean, happy birthday to Mr. Petey. That's a big win right there, man. Oh, man. OC, you're right. It's never good to have the lead early. Who, man? Anthony Parks. Mitch, when are you going to come to Los Angeles? I would like to be able to make a trip out there. I would like to be able to make a trip out there soon. I think Alex was thinking about actually taking a trip to Los Angeles, but hey, somebody wants to give me an invite, I'll go. Sheba, what up, Derek? I was sick and bad from Thursday night until Sunday night. Lost 17 pounds in that time. Still getting beat by COVID. Still got the Raiders report, though. Well, really sorry that you were that sick. I mean, that's brutal. Losing 17 pounds, though. I'm kind of jealous about that. But the fact that you're still tuning into the Raiders report, man, I greatly, greatly appreciate that. I see somebody said one more race. How about this? We'll do tons of races Thursday when we go live here on the Raiders report. Unfortunately, I do have to get going, so no more races. I appreciate each and every one of y'all always tuning in and having a good time with us here on Tuesday. And the way that we did today's show, I love the type of participation, like the amount of questions, the amount of comments, the amount of you guys giving me your 2 cents, hashtag Raider Super Chat. It was awesome. And if we could bring that every single day this year, we're going to have a lot of fun here on this show. So to make sure you never miss anything going on around the Las Vegas Raiders, make sure you're subscribed. If anything breaks, I will be going live here on this show. And then also friendly reminder that I will be live again on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And then I'm going to be live again an hour before kickoff for Dolphins-Chiefs. So make sure you're subscribed for that. FKC, I'll see you guys on Thursday. Enjoy your night.